Yo. Welcome to another episode.
We're here with the one and only Lord Treezy.
Treezy.
What's up? Thank you guys for having me. This means a lot.
I can't believe
it's an honor.
You're here.
Thank you.
At first, dog, I thought you were a little spooked.
Yeah.
Because you did. You said you were going to pull up 2 weeks ago,
but
he's here, guys.
No,
he's here.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'm a little just,
worried?
Yeah, because of,
Because of what you believe in?
Yeah, and the nature of the things that I do, you know what I mean? It is...
You did tell me you got blacklisted from a couple...
Yeah, like...
But before we get into that, let's I was actually interested, like, first, for the people out there who don't know you, like, just give us a general background.
Okay.
How old you are, if you want to even say that. Why you believe in what you believe in.
Yeah.
And how it all kind of started for you.
Okay, what's up? All right, I'm, straight out of Dade County, Hialeah. So literally like, the belly of the beast, the city of like La Gusaneria, you know what I mean?
We're from Hialeah too, by the way.
Yeah, where the right-wing Cubans are literally all over,
Sure.
That's like the dominant, crowd. I've been making music since like middle school. So I got a pretty large discography.
Did you go to Jose Marti?
No, I went to Filer.
Oh, you went to Filer.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, you feel me? I don't know, what kind of got me into this is, I've always been kind of, like, I've had a very interesting ideological development.
Sure.
I feel like what kind of kicked it off is, like, during high school, I started fucking around a lot with, like, the psychedelics, etc.
Okay.
That kind of put me down the rabbit hole of just, like, wanting to, like, search for like knowledge, etc. Like my major is philosophy in college right now.
Okay.
So shit like that, And then towards that, I kind of, I reached upon the philosophy of Marxism, socialism, communism, and it was like something I've never heard before. It was like something I never really engaged with before, and it was interesting because the thing is that, like, being a Cuban, right? And you start to have like sympathies with the leftist community, right? Or like leftist type of like values. You start to be part of a contradictive moment, because then you start to see, like, example, you start to see, like, in South Africa, Nelson Mandela allied with, like, he was with Fidel Castro, and they fought against apartheid in Africa, and that's a good thing. And then our parents tell us, Fidel Castro's a communist, etc. He was a bad person, yet he's there, like, alongside liberation movements. And I feel like that was one of the things that had me, like... You
don't think Fidel's a communist?
Well, he is a communist. Of course he is. What I'm saying is that... He is. They're gonna tell you he's a communist. And of course he is. They're gonna tell you, a bunch of negative things about him. And then when you see him as a historical figure and you look it up, like Fidel has helped, national liberation movements like such as in Angola, South Africa,
before we get into all this,
yeah,
to clarify, like, what exactly do you believe in?
Okay,
like what would you consider yourself?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm a Marxist-Leninist, which means I'm a communist.
Okay.
Marxism-Leninism is like kind of like the ideology that came around, during the Soviet Union, etc. The thing about Marxism-Leninism is that it applies itself very differently. That's why, like, we have Cuba, Vietnam, the DPRK, etc. They're all very different. They all have their very, like, particular...
Still communism, but different.
Yeah, it's different in different places. And that's because we consider Marxism as a science, meaning, so, like, it's always going to look different because it develops kind of, like, using the local conditions and stuff like that. Like, Cuban socialism... There's
different factors.
Yeah, and, like, Cuban socialism, like, we use Jose Marti in Vietnam. They have other national liberation figures, etc. In China, different stuff. But okay, like what we believe in, right, is that through a revolutionary process, right, the working class is going to overthrow the property owning class, what I mean, which is the ruling class of society, because we live in what we call a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie, of the capitalist class. They are the dominant class. They are the ones that set up the rules, the regulations, the laws. They control the economy, etc. And because of this dynamic, it just eventually leads to a crisis, which leads with one class overthrowing the other, right? That's kind of like the science of Marxism, you know what I mean? And we tend to be on that side of history, you know what I mean? Where, we're on the side of the working class, and we believe, like, that the working class moves history, it makes everything, that it's not the property owning class. Like, a lot in America, we romanticize people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, etc. But remember, they're not even the people that make the ideas. Their engineers do, you know what I mean? Like, they don't even pick their own ideas for their own products, The workers are in the factories making it, etc. Therefore, they have they're the important one in society, not the organizer of labor, not the organizer of the labor.
Sure, but to argue that, like, you don't think the owner, the boss, goes through a lot in order to set up the whole business itself? You don't think there's a chance of him failing?
No, I mean, the thing about it, like, this is the whole self-made billionaire concept, you know what I mean? It's, you know, I feel like we can go all day with that. I don't believe it, you know, I don't. Elon Musk, his father owned, like, an emerald mine in Africa, you know what I mean? So, like, that's, like,
so you're saying billionaires aren't self-made?
No, and first of all, remember, Elon Musk's father had an emerald mine in Africa during apartheid. Apartheid was basically post-segregation in Africa. You know, they didn't have slavery and stuff like that, so they had to have segregation, which was basically, you know, dividing people by race with segregative policies. And Elon Musk's father made money during those politics, you know what I mean?
Is that a fact, though?
Yes, that's a fact. That's 100% a fact. You can look that up and test me on that.
Sure.
You know?
Okay.
But you know, and that's, you know, I don't like. There's no, you know, I don't think he's a self-made billionaire. Yeah, I don't think so. You know, and I think also the thing is that self-made billionaire, not everybody can be a self-made billionaire. And the thing is, like, in America, they tell you everybody can own a business, everybody can own this, but no, like, the dynamic of society is worker, owner. You know what I mean? And that dynamic, unless we're talking about socialism, which gets rid of the owner, but that dynamic is, you know, okay. How can I put this, right? Because when we talk about, like, billionaires, right, etc., like, people like Jeff Bezos, who's actually you know, his father he's like a Cuban American.
He was adopted by a Cuban American.
Yeah, he's adopted by a Cuban American. You know, in my opinion, like, these are, like, you know, he's like a propagandist figure, you know what I mean? He's almost like a pop culture icon, you know what I mean? And that's just, like, of course he is, because he reflects the ideology of the ruling class, which wants you to think that you could be a self-made billionaire, you know what I mean? And that's the trap of America, you know what I mean? It's the trap of America that even immigrants come from other countries and they're still broke here with nothing, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of them, they'll still come to a country that tries to kick them out, and they'll still come to a country where they can't get, like, they're 15 years still trying to get, you know, citizenship, you know?
I would like to sort of specify a little bit regarding the situation of being Marxist-Leninist, because I also did notice that you were also interested in Mao Zedong.
Yeah, Mao Zedong.
Oh yeah, we've seen some of your music videos, and we've seen like holding up Mao's book and shit. So keep on.
And there was a point of separation.
Yes.
Between the Soviet
and the
Union,
China,
especially after after Stalin had his little.
Yeah, it's called the Sino-Soviet split. Till right now, the communist movement is still basically ruptured because of those events. We have we have people that are called like Marxist-Leninists, and then we have people who consider themselves Marxist-Leninist Maoists, and then we have people who consider themselves Marxist-Leninist Mao Zedong thought, and this is very complicated. They don't get along because they feel like they all have different understandings on what Marx said, on what Mao said, on what Stalin said, etc. Therefore, they have different feelings on how it should be applied. So basically, they have dilemmas about how to apply socialism, etc. You know what I mean? Right. And they believe the Maoists, they believe that, you know, the Soviet Union went revisionist after the death of Stalin, after the Khrushchev era, which is very true. And, you know, they believe that Mao Zedong, he has an analysis that, like, what happened in the Soviet Union is that there was, like, an inter-party bourgeoisie that was arising from the inside that was able to, like, you know, rip them away from the socialist path and put them back onto capitalism, right? And this was what we get the concept of what's called revisionism, right? And revisionism is like a scary word for socialism, for socialists, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times it's kind of like the idea that we have to work with the market, you know, socialism can't be done like the traditional way, etc. Right. It has to be done this whole different way. So
just to be clear, when you said you're a Marxist-Leninist, pretty much that means like pretty much how he ran it is how you would.
No. See, look, that's the thing. Marxism-Leninism is a science. That's it's just called Marxism-Leninism because that's how it was coined by Stalin, right? Okay. But it's like a growing ideology, etc. Like, it's not just Marx, it's not just Lenin.
Are you aware of Richard Wolff?
Of course, I'm aware of Richard Wolff.
You've listened to him a lot?
Yeah. You know, like, he doesn't consider himself a Marxist-Leninist. He's kind of like what we call like socialism of the 21st century. You know, he's kind of like a new type of socialist figure. Okay. And there's nothing wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, bro, in my opinion, Richard Wolff is very good for people who's trying to get into that line of thinking. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
I only asked because I just wanted to get like an idea, like who would be the guy that you would be like, yeah, like the way he ran it, that's how I would want to.
Yeah, no, okay, no, I mean, I think, you know, like, there's, the thing is that I don't think we've yet to see, obviously, a perfect communist country, because that's utopian, you know what I mean? And, you know, when I say scientific, we like to highlight that word because we're talking about real. Like, we want what we can get is real. And sometimes what is so-called, like, utopian and perfect, you know what I mean? Those things, we have to struggle for them and actually build them, you know what I mean? And a bunch of countries who are constructing socialism are trying that. Obviously, I'm very interested in the Cuban Revolution, and I'm very interested in the Cultural Revolution in China, all the way from 79 until Mao Zedong died. I do think that was a very, like, concrete
way of doing
form of socialism, yes. But
so
there's
how
a lot,
Mao was running it.
Yeah, how Mao was running it, but there's a lot of there's a lot of problems, you know what I mean? And they're like, you know, this is where we get to like a lot of dilemmas. But you know, right now the Chinese Communist Party does say, like, they have kind of like a thing where they say like 70% of what Mao did was right and like 30% was like wrong, you know what I mean? But you know, when it goes like to Mao, because I already know like that's a scary ass word right now. Like, we're talking about Mao Zedong. He's a historical figure. He's a bunch of people say a lot of things about it. We're talking about famine, we're talking about death, we're talking about this, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think this is just interesting. So, most sinologists, people who actually study China, do not believe those numbers. They don't believe those numbers at all. They think that they're like super dramatic overestimations.
What, the famine?
Which one?
Yeah, which one exactly?
No, I don't mean the people. I mean like which numbers.
The 60 million number.
Right.
Yeah, that number is...
Where do they regard it as?
I think that they started saying that it was more close to a million, right? And I think that this was... I think they're relating it to like the famine that happened. And then during the Cultural Revolution, they said... I forgot. They say like another couple... like another like 20, 30 million. It's a big number. And I think it's like actually like 100,000. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you think it's exaggerated?
Yeah, of course. And remember, talking about the population of China is, you know, it's like a billion people.
It is a large population.
It's a large population, you know. Right. And, you know, like, the thing is that, you know, we have presidents that are literally people who fought in war, killed a bunch of people, etc. You know what I mean? Like, America is literally settled upon blood, etc. You know what I mean? Sure. And the thing is that, you know, a revolution, like Mao Zedong says, you know, it's not a dinner table. It's an insurrection. It's an act of violence. You know what I mean? Like Fidel Castro says, you know, it's not a bed of roses. The revolution is not a bed of roses, and it's not. You know what I mean? It's an actual. We're constructing something. You know.
Were you? Go ahead, come on.
No, I'd like to get some of your thoughts on. Traditionally, there's a large school of thought that reflects on history moving dialectically, and sort of Marx flipping Hegel on his head.
Yeah,
going through the route of saying it's the material conditions that lead to where it is that society is going to go. And then I'd like to get your thoughts on where you stand on the dialectic, because I've seen that, you know, a lot of people, for example, in analytical Marxism, if you look at it nowadays, like people like G.A. Cohen, they would not emphasize the dialectic the way that you see. Now, of course, that's a philosophical school of thought, so that's completely different from an empirical set of claims about economics. But what are your thoughts on the dialectic?
It's very important and yes, like this question is beautiful. I love this question. We're gonna go back to Mao, and like Mao's an important during the schools, you know, thought a trend of socialism was coming that we understood, and we called it vulgar materialism, which basically it didn't put politics in command. It didn't put the masses in command. Like Mao Zedong says that the masses are the makers of history, not the mode of production. The mode of production, we are a creator of, we are a product of our material conditions, but we are the agent of historical development. You know what I mean? The people, the masses they are the, you know, that they are the actual agent of historical development, you know what I mean? Because they're the ones that lay upon the conditions as well, and they're a product of them. So a lot of people, you know, like the GDR and stuff like that, they had a very like economic view on like how to construct socialism, you know what I mean? Khrushchevite, you know, they put economy first, then the politics, you know? And no, dialectics is about the masses. Dialectical materialism is very important to study, you know? I think it's very important because like the law of contradiction, these are things that you have to study to like actually do a revolution. Like study what is an antagonistic contradiction between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. What is why does it matter that it's antagonistic? Yeah, like that's very important, you know. And the law of contradiction, we see it as essential. Like if Frederick Engels, Marx's homeboy,
sure, yeah.
He's a master dialectician, and like he has a book called like the Dialectics of Nature, and we're in that book. It's a very philosophical, like, you know, it's saying that nature is dialectical. Everything is dialectical. Like, you know, it's very almost like back into like the Hegelian stuff where it's like reality is dialectical,
right.
but it's material though, you know. Yeah. But
okay.
It's, you know, it's very interesting, you know. The dialectic, I still think it should be studied by socialists nowadays. Everybody, it's very interesting.
I was gonna ask you. You are Cuban, by the way.
Yeah.
Were you born in Cuba?
No, I wasn't born in Cuba. I was born here.
Okay, you were. So your parents, both your parents are Cuban?
Well, my mom is Cuban, but she was born here. Like her parents are Cuban, but she was born here. My dad is Cuban. He was like born in Havana. You know what I mean?
And
he came here.
Do you have a lot of family in Cuba?
Yeah. I have primos, my grandma. You know, shit like that. You know, most of my mom's family is all here. You know what I mean?
Do you speak to any of your family members about this stuff? And like,
well, like definitely. You know, like I'm always talking. I talk a lot, like via WhatsApp and shit with my grandma all the time, you know what I mean? And like she knows, I'm always telling her like I gotta go and I'm gonna get I need her. She has an old like flag, like this old Cuban flag. Okay. It's badass. She gonna give me that shit. But yeah, I do have family there, you know.
Do a lot of your family members agree with?
Okay, like it's a dilemma, you know. I feel like my dad, he like leans left, you know what I mean?
Okay.
My mom like grew up in like, you know, Gusano house, like straight up Gusano, like you know, Fidel Castro's a terrorist, asesino, socialism doesn't work. Like the only thing you can do is pick yourself up from your bootstraps and just listen up to the man, etc. That's what you gotta do, you know what I mean? That's the only thing you can do.
You don't think there's any merit to how many Cubans try to leave Cuba?
No, yeah, of course there's a merit, but there's also, you know, there's an economic blockade on Cuba that's been there for 60 years, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, it does a lot, because here we start to, like, this is like a super controversial topic, you know, my work in South Florida is all work on the blockade, you know what I'm saying?
I've seen your stories,
that's super, like, and right here in the belly of the beast, like, bro, dude, you should see the opposition that pulls up to those protests. Dude, it's disgusting. They spit at us. They say crazy shit at us. We have a caravan, so we drive up. They go and they rip stuff from our cars and shit. You know, it's a you know, the opposition is nasty. You know what I'm saying? And like they're in my opinion, a lot of them are like low key paid by Miami politicians here, the Diaz Balad family, which was connected to Castro back in Cuba, and now they're all here, and you know, like they're they're just politicians. Right. But they're paid. They pay us to do that. And the thing about the exile community, it's all but love for the exile community, because like I'm a Cuban American, you know what I mean? I'm part of the Cuban diaspora just like they are, you know what I'm saying? Like I just think that I'm not gonna reject my revolutionary history, etc., and think that like America plays a progressive role in the geopolitical scenario we are in with Cuba and America, because the embargo, it's codified. It literally, the content of the embargo says that they're trying to squeeze the economy, and like it says, like at the time it came out, there's like in the documents it shows how like there was 50% the lowest like percent that came out of like support for Castro was like 50%. So most people supported him, you know what I mean? And the U.S. didn't want to do a military intervention because they knew it would make them look bad. Because the Bay of Pigs, they made them look bad. You know what I mean? Like when you do a military intervention, being this big ass country and a little country, it just looks bad. Like look at Vietnam. Like even they were communists and people were still like, no, don't do the war. It's
Fidel
unjust.
did lie to everybody though.
In what sense though?
I mean, he clearly
Yeah, I know we're gonna say that because he didn't say because he
wasn't a Marxist, he wasn't a communist. Like he clearly said it before he even.
I know, yeah, but look,
what's your thoughts on that?
Okay, the thing about the Cuban Revolution is that like Fidel, the Cuban Revolution matured into Marxism Leninism. It was it's a geopolitical strategy, because Fidel knew he had to do that to protect the revolution. That was the only thing he had to do to protect the revolution.
You don't think he was being a bull-faced liar, bro?
Nah. Look, the USSR was of course with their anti-imperialist politics was gonna protect the Soviet was gonna protect the Cuba.
Sure.
And also remember, Raul Castro was a communist. There were members of the you know, of the Julio 26 movement that were communists. You know what I mean?
There were, yeah.
Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. Like, bro, and remember, dude, we're talking about 59 liberation movements becoming socialist. Bro, that's so normal. You know what I mean? Every liberation movement in that time became socialist. They all were looking at the Soviet Union like, bro, like they wanted that. They looked at that and they're like, hell yeah. Like that's the funny thing, you know? And you know, Fidel one time said in a speech, he's like, do we want housing? Do we want, you know, like the Yankees off of our neck? We want agrarian reform? And they were like, yes. And he's like, do you know what this is? And he's like, this is socialism is what we're talking about. And the people were there, like, it was a popular revolution, you know? Like, if you see footage from the time, it was a popular revolution.
Let me get back to some of the introductory remarks that we were discussing. One of the first things that was mentioned was the science, right? So sort of Marxism, or at least Marxism, Leninism, and just Marxian thought being somehow scientific. In what sense do you mean scientific? Okay,
so example, I'm gonna give you kind of like, first of all, Marxism, in my opinion, right? Like, you can take a class of economics, right? They're like capitalist economics class. And, you know, they'll tell you kind of like, you know, capitalism is, you know, private property, this, you know, etc. They'll tell you like kind of like very surface level stuff.
Sure.
But Marxism is the science of capitalism because it shows you what it actually is. Like, example, we have a formula for the capitalist economic model. It's called MCM, money, commodity, money. You start with money, you create commodities, and you end up with more money. This is the profit motive. You know what I mean? And through that, we can understand that everything out of capitalism goes through that same formula. You know what I mean? It's always putting profit first. You know what I mean? And like through that, we understand things like the falling rate of profit. At one point, there's going to be an economic crisis where there's not going to be enough profit. You know what I mean? And like it's happened. Like the falling rate of profit, that is an actual like tendency. The tendency of the rate of profit to fall is real.
Doesn't it go back up though? And it just keeps booming. Like it just isn't that part of the economy? Like,
yeah. I mean, a lot of people will take like,
wouldn't that be a good thing actually?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a good thing. I wouldn't think, because we're subjects to that. We're subjects to this boom and bust like
I
scenario.
will give credit to Marx for being in his time, at least being able to recognize that the boom and bust cycle would occur. When, it wasn't.
Sure.
It wasn't very contemporary.
Yeah, I mean, no. Marx is he's very smart. Like he's very, very smart.
On the other hand, it seems like we were almost going to head in the direction of, or I might as well just bring it up, the labor theory of value, for example.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So, workers, they lack access to the means of production. Therefore, they have to sell their labor to the boss man, the bourgeoisie.
Before you get into this, by the way, just to clarify, you agree with most everything that Marx says? Like, you agree with almost...
I mean, it's not, you know, I don't think it's not about accepting everything that Marx says. It's about, I mean, there's stuff that, like you believe example, there's stuff that Stalin was wrong about, and Mao is critiquing Stalin, and then there's stuff that people are critiquing Mao, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, remember, I'm not the decider of the socialist revolution, the masses are, you know what I mean? They pick it. The masses are they're the motive force in it. So what I believe about what Stalin said or Mao said, etc., doesn't even matter, because it matters during our revolutionary process, how we apply it, what we learn from them, and how it goes, you know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
And is there a direction to it?
I mean,
in other words, like, is there a telos to history?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I philosophically, as like I love philosophy, and I do believe that there is a telos, you know, like there is a development. Like communism, in my opinion, it's almost like, it's kind of like symbolic, almost like it's like the social form of like you finding yourself. You know what I mean? Like communism is society realizing itself. Like kind of when you realize, like, you know, that you're just like a piece of humanity, etc. Like that's like society doing it.
You're alienated.
Right?
From your labor.
Yeah. And communism is the global scale of that happening. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, alienation is a fundamental concept in Marxism.
You don't think we should have private property, bro?
I think the thing about it, right? Remember, I mean, private property and what? Like a lot of people say they got private property, but only like temporarily until they can pay, and then they can't pay it. You know what I mean?
People own houses, bro.
Yeah.
That's theirs. Like if the government wants to take it away, you don't think that's wrong in any way?
No, I mean, but the thing is that nothing is being taken away. Property is nationalized under the state. You know what I'm saying? Under a socialist process, and housing.
I mean, you have
is
no
made
say.
free.
You have no say on it though. Like if let's say for instance they want to implement certain laws and the individual doesn't agree with it, it's game over for them. Like there's no option. Like literally what we're doing right here, speaking different views, we can't do that in communist countries. Like we're gonna get jailed or executed.
Yeah, but look, dude, it's just. I beg to differ, like example.
You disagree with that?
Yeah,
you disagree that if I was in Cuba right now, and I was like, yo, fuck Fidel. Fuck anybody. Nothing would happen.
Be a problem?
Would there be a problem?
No, I don't think. Look, I don't think there would, bro.
Dude.
Look, listen.
Really? You genuinely believe that?
I'm gonna be genuine with you. Look, cause I have to track like gusaneria all the time.
That's amazing.
An example. Look, I'll tell you what. Like I can literally show you a video right now of a guy in Cuba going up to Cuban priests, like yelling at the priests, telling them that they're liars, that they have to tell the truth about the political prisoners that are locked.
What about the political prisoners?
What about the political prisoners?
People that are protesting for something they believe.
Prisoners?
I think, of course there are, and like, dude, like political, like, dude, being
just to simplify, do Cubans have freedom of speech?
Yeah, Cubans have freedom of speech. Of course they do. Cubans even have the right to unionize, etc. You know what I mean?
Freedom of speech.
Yes,
bro.
Yes, they do.
They have freedom of speech. Under what definition?
Let's be clear. Let's be real clear.
Let's not give a sleight of hand.
They have free of speech where it's supporting the worker state. You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
Socialist freedom of speech. The people's freedom of speech.
No, but look. Actually, I'll tell you what. Like example, there's even anarchists in Cuba. Like there's an organization called Abra, which literally they even have an anarchist like bookstore in Cuba. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, no, and of course, like example, you're not allowed like there are political opponents in Cuba that they're like almost like pre-party formations. You know what I mean? They're kind of like a bunch of people organized, etc. Like one of them was called like the Cuban Independent Party.
Well, there's not much organization going on right now.
Look,
I mean, the last organization was this whole podcast started when you remember those times when Cuba was protesting.
July 11th, 20.
We literally started that podcast kind of because of that in a way, because we were like, dude, let's just talk about it. We got nothing else. Let's just start a podcast. So
so it's interesting. Okay,
so that's how we started it. And
look,
what
I will tell you.
Would you say
I will tell you this. I will tell you this. No. I will tell you this, but there is the opposition in the United States is controlled and funded by the opposition in Cuba is funded and some of it is funded by the United States, of course.
Sure.
I wouldn't doubt that for a second. This is what I'm gonna say. Like so
you don't think some of the socialists defending the Cuban government here would be funded in any way by the Cuban government?
Exactly.
I mean some of them are, but a lot of them are not. Like a lot of them really do hold solidarity. I would really hold solidarity. Of course,
the opposition in Cuba.
I would say the same. But example, like in my opinion, like they're taking advantage of the people because yes, the United States will go in there and do a color revolution, and they will make Cuba in the same scenarios where Haiti has been, or any other country in the Caribbean has been, because where does intervention with the United States end well?
It's the embargo, right?
No, it's not that, but there are 56 military interventions by the United States, and then you're telling me like what, but most Cuban people are happy with their system though. They just know.
I would heavily disagree with that.
No, look, I would say that look, it's divided. There's a division. Like and there's always been a division in Cuba between Gusanos and people who are supporting the revolutionary process,
Sure.
And like those people's like voice should be heard and considered, In my opinion, like Cuba has played a progressive role geopolitically, like a lot. Like, dude, Cuba went to send aid during the Hurricane Katrina. Like when Kanye was like, "Oh, George Bush doesn't care about black people," because it's true. And you know who wanted to go help black people? Fidel Castro did. He said, "I will literally send you 2,000 doctors right now to her, where Hurricane Katrina, where black people were left on the top of their roof." You know what I'm saying? But Fidel went. And like example, and Angola, right? When people were trying to fight for their sovereignty, right? Even the USSR was like, fuck it, we're not gonna help them. Fidel was like, nah, we're gonna help them. We're gonna send aid to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In Guinea and all these places, like, bro, when Ebola was happening, Cuba was in Africa. You know what I mean? And they lost doctors because of that. You know what I'm saying? And even with the embargo, Cuba was still able to produce its own COVID vaccine and try to give it to the people. You know what I mean? And try to give medicine to its people. You know what I'm saying? And like example, like Cuba literally a lot of times has like really intelligent people on the island, you know what I'm saying, that like have like the technical degree to make like biological medicine and stuff like that, but because of the embargo they can't get the stuff, you know what I mean? And the embargo, it's real. Look,
Let me have a question.
wait, okay.
Go ahead.
No, let him finish.
All right,
Look,
go,
the
go.
embargo is real. Like a lot of people say, what embargo? Because example, the United States, look, like since the 2000s, they've sent 30, I think it's like 30 billion, something like that, in aid to Cuba, right?
Okay.
Because, you know, they're like, oh no, you know, we're not actually
We're
sanctioning,
good.
yeah, we're actually gonna help them, right?
Right.
But like when you actually do like all the math and stuff, like you can see it, because like I remember watching it, it was like, it was in agricultural goods, that's what they've been sending, right? And it actually became like $33 per citizen, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, like, and it's very normal, like when you get $1 billion and you actually chip it amongst like a population of 1 million people, you start to realize, you're like, oh shit.
It's not much.
You're like, oh shit, wait, actually, you can't help a country by donating money to it. It's literally impossible. I'm telling you, the only way a country can help itself is by having its own means of production, its own economic setting, its own economic, like, base. That's the only way. You can't send it money because, dude, there's no way to get all that money to the people.
I forgot the question.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to go ahead.
Oh, shit.
I think I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say.
Yeah, I was gonna. It was something you were saying. Along the embargo.
Huh.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, you wanna hit this, bro?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you smoked weed.
Yeah, not for sure.
I was just fascinated when you agreed that history does have a telos.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and, you know, obviously, like,
Hold up, forget all that.
No, I think that's important.
All right, go ahead.
That's
We're
like
gonna get to the
foundational.
embargo. I got a question on the embargo after, but go ahead.
Sure. I think that's amazing.
yeah. I mean, I do think that, as a telos, I do think that, like, example, we do think that, like, history flows through contradiction, you know what I
Right.
mean? And contradiction causes movement, and, you know, like, example, one of the contradictions is the contradiction between the bourgeois and the proletariat, between the forces and relations of production. The relation is how it's organized, and the forces is the actual stuff, you know what I mean?
And we can predict that at the end of that, I don't want to say the end of history, but
Yeah.
What's gonna happen? Pretty much.
at a certain point, you would reach.
No, I don't think so, because class struggle is eternal. Like, that's the thing. The unity of opposites is temporary, but class struggle is eternal.
Right.
It's almost like eternal. You know what I mean? Like, communism is it almost becomes like,
Right.
yeah, it's like we're reaching there. You know what I mean?
But what are those beliefs backed by?
It's by the masses, by the people. Like, and there's no revolutionary that's not guided by a great sense of love. That's what Che
Right, but
Guevara says.
I mean in terms of evidence, though.
Yeah. Socialism.
Like the idea that history does have a telos.
I think.
Because I think any historical interpretation is problematic because it sort of does have like a state of nature element to it.
No, of course, like a lot of like example, like the neocons and stuff like that, like who are like intellectual and they want to read Hegel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
they'll be like, oh, it's like New World Order type of shit. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like that's what they
Sure.
say. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think that's like intellectual deep web nonsense. Like
Right,
I don't know. I
right.
just don't. I don't know. I think it's like too much of a surface level understanding of what dialectics is, because that's like it's a long trend of philosophy. You have to
You don't-
actually
But
know.
what
a
is
lot
the
of it.
evidence for it is what I'm asking. Like, why believe it? Why go
No,
there?
I think like understanding that there's a historical telos where the working class plays as the motive force in it is the groundings of the of the Marxist philosophy. Because the thing is that like they say, right, that the ruling class has their telos. They have like great man theory and stuff like
They
that.
can have whatever they want, but
Yeah, like-
what is the defense of this telos? What is the evidence for it?
I mean, I would say the evidence is that it's been happening. Like working class people continue to uprise and overthrow like their capitalist oppressors and establish socialism, and socialism continues to exist in the 21st century. You know?
I mean, isn't that sort of a pick and choose scenario?
I
Because
mean,
there have been a lot of socialist
Yeah,
states that have
That
ended
would
up
be-
collapsing
Yeah,
and
yeah, of
gone
course,
right back to
of course.
capitalism. And
no,
then,
yeah. I mean,
and then whenever the dialectic progresses, so to speak.
there's moments of retrogression.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then whenever the dialectic progresses, at least in terms of the way that Marxian thought is explored,
I mean, China.
it's sort of like an update.
China had to implement capitalism in their whole system.
The reform.
I mean, because that shit was gonna go down, bro. Like,
Okay.
You genuinely believe that, let's. I was gonna ask about the embargo. So your whole thing is that's what's stopping Cuba from like succeeding and doing simply the embargo.
No,
that's
no,
it?
of course. I mean, there's obviously faulty policies within the Cuban government, but like as a Marxist, imperialism becomes a main contradiction because the thing about it is that a country that suffers from imperialism that lays as the foundations for all the other contradictions that start to lay upon it. You know what I mean? Like,
so you're against imperialism, right?
of course, I'm against imperialism, and Cuba is literally a country that's fighting against.
Bro,
imperialism.
you don't think the U.S. is the best country?
No, I just wanted to go ahead and. So you are against imperialism?
Of course, I'm against imperialism.
Okay, so
imperialism is horrible.
Okay.
It's you know like
well, that's good.
The Monroe Doctrine and stuff like that literally tries to classify the entire like Western Hemisphere as like part of the United States. You know, like that's fucked up. Like what was who was Simon Bolivar? Who are people fighting?
U.S. foreign policy is shit.
Yeah, I mean it is shit.
I'll be the first to admit.
Yeah.
I mean by
no,
far.
U.S. foreign policy is
That's
actually
not even close
like
to,
example. If you don't believe in the blockade, you're allowing the Cuban government to look real fucking good every UN General Assembly when every country except for Israel and the United States votes against the embargo. Look it up. Every UN General Assembly.
Yeah, they do. It's just Israel and the U.S.
Yeah,
right?
they're the only ones that support the embargo. And then the funny thing is, let's say the Cuban government is lying. The embargo, they've been lying. But dog, they got a better roses to fall upon every time when you call them out on their bullshit. They're gonna be like, but the embargo, and then you guys literally, because there's like they're gonna show economic data for it, and like every other country like Africa who's been supported by Cuba and has been, imperialism has fucked up Africa. You know what I mean? And America's foreign policy has. Equal was Africa. They're gonna look at Cuba and they're gonna fall for the narrative that they're a victim of imperialism, and they're gonna support Cuba. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like the strategy that we're going is not working, and also like, and it does, bro. Trust me, the embargo is real because, bro, the Cuban exile community, they want the embargo because what they want to do, I'm telling you, like Otaola and all these dudes, what they want to do is starve out the Cuban like pueblo until they go and like apoyar themselves. You know what I mean? Until they go try to overthrow the Cuban government.
Until
it hasn't happened. You know what they do? Yeah, until they do their own revolution, right? But you know what's funny, right? But you know what they do though?
Right.
You know what they do? They throw themselves on a boat in shark-infested waters, then
and they come over here.
That's what they do. You know what I mean? Like that's what they do instead. They don't go overthrow the government. They don't go do anything like that. You know what I mean?
What is the best country then?
I don't know. Like, dude, Americans like to put things in 1 to 10 and stuff like that. Like, I don't think there's no. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
There's a lot to consider.
But there's beautiful countries all over the place, and like, bro, you can't say Cuba's not beautiful. You know what I mean?
I want to ask you though. You don't think the Soviet Union was in any way imperialist?
Okay, like a lot of people start to say this, like whether they conducted what's called like social imperialism and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think so.
Didn't they invade Afghanistan for 10 years?
Okay, but remember, dude, like, come on, we're gonna talk about that, like the Mujahideen. Okay, but look, but if you're against socialism in Afghanistan, like, come on, you're like, I would say that you're on a fucked up part of history because look, bro, the Mujahideen, which is the forces that fought the Soviet Union, was funded by the United States. You know, those people became ISIS, right?
They were,
yeah, like, wow, all that U.S. funded literally became like it came back to our country.
You think they were there for like the greatness of Afghanistan to help them?
What do you mean?
You think that's why the Soviet Union went there?
No, I mean, but trust me, actually, like Afghanistan, bro.
And not just Afghanistan. I mean, all the other countries.
I do think, Uzbekistan, and all these places, they were definitely better under socialism.
They were just liberated, right?
Yeah, I mean, but they were better under socialism.
I'm sure they were.
Like they were, and you can probably actually go to.
Ukraine was much better off. It was great.
Look, the funny thing is,
Holodomor was like 5 people that died, right?
No, look.
5 people.
But I mean, look, Ukraine, like example, the next republic and stuff like that. The Eastern Ukraine, where the separatists are, like those are all people who actually like do admire like their Soviet like background that like crush Nazis. Unlike the reactionary base of Ukraine, like since 1949, has been a base for like nationalist politics. It's always been a base for that, And like Ukraine right now, like bro, look at their battalion right now, the Azov battalion, etc. They do have, and I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that like, oh, what, there's not like Nazi organizations in like Russia or whatever, but it's like yes, like there, like Ukrainian nationalism is tied to like fascism. It is tied to like Ukrainian lore that is supposed to be kind of like against like.
I think
communism.
there's a lot of it. I mean, we've seen it. I don't think there's any disagreement on it. The press was very much talking about it until the conflict began, right? They were addressing it openly until the conflict began, and then the narrative changed, which...
Yeah, I mean, Ukraine started a war in its own country 8 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Like real shit. Like,
So none of that was imperialism in any way?
What Russia's conducting right now? Like the special operation?
No, I mean the Soviet Union.
In the Soviet Union?
Yeah, its foreign policy was in no way imperialist.
I mean... No, I wouldn't say it's
Right.
imperialist, because imperialism is finance capital. It means when you use like it's an economic definition as well. It's not just like, oh, I'm coming in here and like, you know, I think that it depends on like the relation of like the insurrection, you know what I mean?
What do you mean by the relation?
Like, what is the relation to? Does it have a socialist relation? Does it have a capitalist relation?
If
You
it's
know what I mean?
capitalist, it's imperialism. If it's socialist, it's
Yes,
not.
of course, because capitalism
So that's
always
just
brings...
wordplay at that point, right? I mean,
No, it's not semantics, because
It
the words have
definitely sounds like it.
No, the words have definitions. They have meanings.
What do you mean by? All right, let me. I just want to get something straight. I still haven't gotten to the to the understanding of what it is, because since, I mean, certainly you don't think that utopian socialism was very descriptive of anything that was going to happen in the future.
Oh no! I mean, it's obviously. I mean, I still admire. Like, I still will like admire reading some like I still find it fun to read. Like Rousseau and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, if I think that there's anything truthful to like utopian socialism?
Do you think there's any blueprint that can be ascertained as to what a future communist state would look like?
Like from utopian socialist texts.
Or just anything in your own thoughts.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, example, in China before, like, I forget what it's called. Like when they start to think of like cultures that can be made compatible with like the communist culture, they pick up a bunch of like old like ideologies from the past, whichever are like revolutionary.
Right.
They kind of like synthesize it, you know what I mean? So there's probably a bunch of like things that have like revolutionary ideas, etc., like the Bible, etc. Look at liberation theology. Liberation theology is literally like almost like a Marxist interpretation of the Bible.
Yeah, it's definitely Marxism. Posing as Catholicism.
Exactly, you know what I mean? It's you know. So what I mean is that you can definitely find like kind of like working class elements and a lot of shit, you know what I mean? Or in a revolutionary content, a lot of shit.
Dude, fucking... I mean, let's talk about Cuba, though, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Because, like, that's probably the shit that we could... I mean, we could talk about Russia. We could talk about any type of country any day. But the one that we have at least the most experience with by family is Cuba. So...
Sure.
I mean, how blunt can I be, bro? Like, let's just be real. The conditions in Cuba are not good, bro.
That's due to U.S. imperialism, though, bro. You can't just...
I mean...
That's why I asked him, but he said no, though.
Have you been to any other places like in the Caribbean?
No, I've actually never left
like,
the
bro,
U.S.
Dude, when I went to DR, which supposedly is like now, like, you know, it's supposed to be nice and shit, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I stayed at a hotel, but there was times where we got out of the hotel and stuff like that. We traveled from place to place. Like, bro, on God, there was literally times like we were going. There was like long roads that were like to get from like an excursion to another, and I can tell this was like very separate from like the population. You know what I mean? Like, there was literally like kids there. They're like, you know, didn't have no shoes. Some of them, like, I swear to God, one like didn't have no pants, just like a shirt, dude. Like, I swear to God, it was like, and they were like going out there beggars and stuff like that. Like, you know, in Cuba, the only like begging you really see is like when it comes to like tourism, like kind of like they'll try to like
the prostitutes and things like that.
Yeah, or they'll try to hustle like a tourist or some shit like that. But like not like example,
I mean,
Cuba is still more safe than any other country in Latin America. Like,
they
you know
have
what I'm
no
saying?
guns.
I mean, still though, like there's no like there's still there's not a lot of crimes that are actually caused by capitalism, like fraud, scamming, this, etc. You know what I mean?
I mean, dude, like the food portions are extremely low for families over there in Cuba.
I would like to ask, do you think that the U.S. Foreign policy towards Cuba has more to do with the condition of the Cuban economy than Cuba's own?
Yeah, good way to put it.
Of course I understand that question. Like, there's definitely been mishandlings with like Cuba's economy that, like, of course, like with the embargo, just puts
like
everything.
Just the lack of having markets in your own country. Like, how?
No, of course, and I understand that, but like, there are like now ever since like 2011, there actually has been more private businesses in Cuba. You can see them, and a lot of them like they are used as sort of like to be against a blockade, because one of their main like requests is to have like international trade with companies in the U.S. Like there's like a great program. It's called like on the war on Cuba, and it's like I've worked with this organization before, and like they highlight like a lot of this, you know what I mean, and they highlight like entrepreneurship in Cuba, etc. You know what I mean? Like I would say that Cuba definitely is gonna become more like reformist in a couple of years, you know what I mean, and open up. You know, it just all depends. But like,
I genuinely think that.
No, but I do think also.
Do you think it should have done that probably from the beginning?
Yeah.
I think that in my opinion
As opposed
they're
to
doing
trying
it.
to
Like example, like I bet you guys don't know though. Like they do. Like example, like Diaz-Canel. You know, like yeah, he was reelected, but remember, there's a 5-year term limit. Like yeah, there are. Like example, they're implementing election.
He was reelected.
Yeah, and like example.
Who was his opponent?
Look, it's
No idea.
It's set up
I genuinely don't know.
No, it's set up
Through a
through.
one-party system where
But it's not.
where it's
though.
illegal to actually
have
start
other
a-
opponents.
No, look, example. It's called the Revolutionary People's Assembly, right? They do it like this, right?
Yeah,
And
you have to
a group-
sign up
No.
as in the Communist
No,
Party.
you don't have to be a Communist Party member.
There's no coercion at all.
There's
Yeah.
you don't have to be. I mean, bro, let's be real in the United
Come on,
States. But like, let's be real in the
Somebody
United
comes
States.
to your house
No, bro, dude, that doesn't,
and
dude.
tells you what's up.
Dude,
That never happened in Cuba.
like
That coercion never happened?
Yeah, no, the coercion happens every day in
Yeah.
Cuba. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
That's fucking hilarious.
It doesn't.
Come
Listen,
on,
bro.
bro.
I even know
Hilarious.
people
Come
who
on,
would be
bro.
like beside like people who like their neighbors were literally part of the
Yeah.
CDR and stuff like that. None of that stuff.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah,
It was democratic.
I would say it was fine. Like it was.
You don't-
fine.
you don't
What
think
mean-
the- you
what
don't-
does that mean? It was fine.
Like yeah, like relations were okay. Like you know, like example. My dad always tells me, right? He's like, nah, like I most likely probably would have stayed in Cuba if I would have like gone to the U.S. first, seen it, etc. And I
Sure.
feel like a lot of Cuban, and also like when it comes to the blockade, most Cubans are against the blockade. They're afraid to speak out of it because the thing is like, what is the relation like of politics with like a foreign policy of the United States that hasn't worked for 60 years, and then you want to be like, oh, political prisoners, like, bro, it's political prisoners, and the United States is
Let me
political
just
prisoners.
pause.
you know?
I'm not presenting a defense of the United States.
No, yeah, I know.
I'm just discussing
No,
the
yeah.
situation in Cuba.
Yeah, and I would say that
Yeah.
you're like the scenario, the conditions in a United States prison are probably 100 times worse. Like, dude, you'll get out. You'll get out. You'll be fine. And I don't mean it in those ways. And I think that like when we actually bring down the embargo, we're gonna have more open conversations with Cuba, and like yes, like at the same time, yeah, we can ask Cuba like to lift up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like do switch its policies around. You know what I mean? And like the only way that's gonna happen is if we set up diplomatic relationships with Cuba. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like
I don't
think
with
you
that
should
at all.
isolate a country.
No, I don't agree with the embargo at all. I don't agree with any of those foreign policy, like any of the economic sanctions. I don't
for
think it's
sure not.
necessary at all.
Yeah.
I also don't think it's had that big of an impact. At
Yeah,
least.
dude.
I mean, it's had an impact, but
course.
to say that this is an impact
That's the number one
on the
thing?
scale
Like,
of Cuba's own economic
Come on, bro,
policies.
like,
Look, I
To
will
like
tell you.
limit markets the way that Cuba has, like to limit business, to limit even the ability, like people can't even, you can't just go around and trade, right? You can't just go around buying shit from fucking other countries and start your own business freely the way that you would like to. I mean, even in a place like China, like China is almost fascist at this point, the way that it runs itself. I mean, it's
Okay.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's public-private partnership the way these people
What do you?
function.
Okay, and what are you speaking
In
about?
the sense that what you have is a political caste that gets to decide who gets to be the monopoly
No,
corporation.
yeah, I mean, like, there's definitely a lot to say, you know, like, even in the realm of, like, socialist politics, like, a lot of people don't,
Well,
like,
there the
accept...
power's even more concentrated.
you would like your life to be ran by like that?
No, it doesn't, those are
It's
questions
democratic.
that become, like, they're like, you're going in a circle, you're using, like,
It
circular
is.
reasoning, you're going back in this point, and the thing
Explain.
is that, like, and the thing is that it's a lot to talk about, like, because we're gonna have to say, like, oh, do I believe, like, China is socialist, etc., like...
No, that's not the question.
No, but example, yes, because then I would have to say, like, do you believe that the policies that China's carrying out are, like, reflect, like, the socialist ideology? You know what I mean? Because that's what you're saying.
That's the thing, is the socialist ideologies could be a million things.
That's the thing. There's not a concrete thing. Like you can't.
Every socialist could have their own different
version
views.
of
No, I mean, not
Just like,
necessarily,
just like even capitalists could have
No,
their own
not necessarily though.
interpretation.
But okay, yeah. But capitalism, like, okay,
And this
what's
idea
what's
of
the different? Tell me the different capitalist ideology, the different ones. Like
know
what?
what you're
Like
talking about.
some that are more private, some that are more like, because you're saying like you can have different type of capitalists. What are the different type of capitalists? Like what? Neocons, neoliberals are the same shit.
That's
like the only
politics.
opposition, the only opposition is socialism. Like because you're trying to say
I
like
don't know. I'm talking about economics.
okay, yes, but okay,
You're
you're saying
politics into the equation.
Yeah, I
These
mean,
are two different
okay,
constructs.
all right, but okay, look, you're saying right.
What am I saying?
You're saying that every socialist is different, etc., but not necessarily. Like, there's a bunch of socialist parties that, you know, they follow a line,
a strict line.
Yeah, they
Right.
follow a political line.
So they're in a cult, basically.
They
don't think for themselves.
No, they're not.
Set the party line.
Not necessarily. Look, like in like
that's not dogmatic.
No, it's not. It's actually, listen, like one of the books that we literally read from Mao is literally called Opposed Book Worship, etc. These things are literally like opposing dogmatism. Like, dogmatism is something that we oppose in the socialist world, like in the socialist realm of politics. You know what I mean? And no, example, we follow what's called, it's not a political line, it's called a mass line. It's from the masses to the party, back into the masses. Like, example, during the Cultural Revolution, there was a lot of, like, what we call it capitalist roaders, right? Like, Li Shaoqi, he made a book called How to Be a Good Communist, right? And he talked about, it's about serving the party. And this book was majorly critiqued by, like, the peasants and the soldiers, etc., because they said it's not about serving the party, it's about serving the masses. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Like, the socialist policies that I follow are the ones that serve the masses. You know what I'm saying? That's what I say. An example, like, what do you know about socialism? Like, do you know there's a in the Philippines there's a socialist revolution going on right now. It's been going on for 50 years. Like, the MPA, Joma, he just passed away. And like example, like, they do have progressive elements. And like, Cuba just had the most progressive social plan ever, which was done. Like, you can't say that the elections didn't happen. They literally did. Like, they were recorded everywhere. And yes, these elections, what did they do? They legalized gay marriage. This happened this past year. It was the 2022 Cuba family plan. It legalized, you know, like, all these different forms of ways to adopt, to, like, people who lose their parents have to get adopted, etc. It's literally, like, for real, like it's the most progressive, like, policy that's been passed.
That was pretty anti.
Look, and no, dude. Like, example, like, a lot. Look, that no, and also,
I'm just
it's a lie too. Like, example, some people will say, like, oh, Che Guevara was racist. Like, bro, how? Che Guevara was an internationalist. He literally fought in Africa, like, against apartheid. Like, how? Like,
and he murdered a lot of people.
I mean, dude, so did a bunch of. He's a revolutionary. He's a guerrilla fighter. Of course he did.
That was his job, dude. What are you talking about?
No, but he's a guerrilla fighter. Like, trust me, a bunch of people during the French Revolution, like, for the same reason, to establish, like, American democracy, it was the same way. Like, those are historical moments. You know what I'm saying?
So murder is okay as long as it's for the revolution. Things like that are fine.
No, I mean, it's not that we don't
Morally,
advocate. We don't advocate violence. Is that violence literally it becomes a process when one class
becomes inevitable.
No, it's because one class is not going to give up its power democratically.
So we have to kill.
I mean, bro, do you really think that the capitalist class, like Elon Musk, etc., the United States is gonna give up its power? Like, the United States that has iron domes around its country, the United States that has the most
power. We give them, the people give them power.
We're jumping around to a whole lot of shit and not really.
But it's cool. It's fine.
But you're saying you're acting as if you don't see, like, example, even if you're a communist or not, if you think that there's gonna be a transition from America to another state to another, it's gonna be through violence. Like, and it's not that it's through violence; it's that violence is inevitable through the class struggle. Like, because it becomes antagonistic. Like, one class is not going to give up its property, one class is not going to give up its power. It's not. So it becomes inevitable. Like, dude, we wish that it can be peacefully done. Like, example, we did. Salvador Allende was a Marxist-Leninist who was voted, and what happened? He was overthrown by the CIA, and Augusto Pinochet was put in a backed coup. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, socialism that has been tried through voting has always been overthrown by the CIA.
Right.
Yeah. Like, example, look, Hugo Chavez, right? Hugo Chavez.
You're a fan of Hugo?
Look, we'll talk about him.
Okay.
We'll talk about him. Look, Hugo Chavez. Remember, he tried to do a coup for the first, when he was kind of like a guerrilla first, and he tried to do a coup, but it didn't work. He was in prison. I think he was let out a little early. Then he became a politician and he won the elections. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. There has been, like, you can say whatever about me.
How's Venezuela now?
We can talk about it.
I just want to sort of get down to, like, something that actually.
No, but look, wait, because I want to say this though. But look, because we're talking about, like, we're talking about, like, violence and whether violence is necessary during a revolutionary process. And I'm telling you right now that there are processes that have tried to do it non-violently, passively.
And you're saying it's inevitable during the class.
No, and I'm also saying that the United States has treaded on those when they've tried to do it peacefully. Like, dude, Salvador Allende, you should guys definitely look into his past. Like, even, like, people who are not socialists like him, because of course he died early. He didn't have to have all of the like so-called communist tragedies you guys get to say. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch. Like, remember what's a purity fetish and what's not? Do you have a purity fetish? Do you see, like, things through, like, this abstract world, this abstract like land? You know what I mean? That's like only in your head, or do you think about things practically? Like, every historical moment where history has been moved by a population is like that. Like, I don't know. I don't
I'm
understand.
just trying to figure out like what economic policy you would like to see in place, because all I hear is revolution.
Yeah,
no, of
exactly.
course,
revolution.
Let's get like
What
a
is
concrete.
what is the goal here?
Yeah,
What
no,
are you
I mean,
trying to
no,
do?
give us some
and why
examples.
is it better than a market economy?
Okay,
in
yeah.
any way?
Okay, you know, I mean, first of all, you know, like when it comes to, I am a Marxist-Leninist. Obviously, like economics is not my best thing, but obviously we can obviously talk about it. Like obviously, I support like nationalizing industry, etc. You know what I mean? So, like.
You think people would be better off that way?
I mean, I do think that major corporations should be nationalized. You know what I mean? Like, and I think you can
You don't think
hire.
that would just concentrate power into the political class?
No, I don't. Example, I think you can actually make a massive, like, you can fill workplaces up with, like, a high population. Like, example, unemployment is literally caused because of the profit motive. If you nationalize industry, you can hire, like, the population in the workplace. Because, example, unemployment is because they're, the profit motive is what causes unemployment. Because
what's
you
the
save
evidence for that?
You save, because it's part of it. Like,
why?
I would say because like how I said, like the economic formula of capitalism is the profit incentive. It's manifested within all of its qualities. You know, like you can see it.
Yeah, it's the profit incentive. There's good.
Look,
What's wrong with that?
No, I mean, I think that it definitely gets in the way of creating a commodity. Like example, why do you think?
That's one of the things.
No, but look, example. Even I can give you a simple example. Like the creation of a commodity using a profit incentive literally gets in the way of creating like a functional commodity. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you think like a lot of like amazing innovations were created during the Soviet Union? Because like there was no profit incentive. Like even like the AK-47 and the guy who created it, like when they asked him, one of the things that they asked him was like, "Oh, are you upset that you never got to patent it?" And he said like he wasn't upset. You know what I mean? Because it was like for the socialist society. It was for like the masses, and like that with those weapons they destroyed fascism, which is like if you don't agree that that's like a great point in history, like it depends. We can talk like all the particularities, but there's like massive geopolitical events when we talk about those things, you know. And like the Soviet Union did industrialize quick. It did like very rapidly.
No,
like
they actually had terrible growth. Let's be real.
No, they didn't.
They were developing,
you can see it. You can literally see.
They were a developing nation, and they distributed things terribly.
No, and also like example, like
they
people
had
like
no
dude, you can literally
reasonable price control whatsoever.
No, look, example, like even the calorie intake that they give you is bogus. Like there's literally CIA documents that you can look it up. I can pull it up on my phone. They literally show that the calorie intake was literally almost identical to the American calorie intake. And
I'm not sure what
said,
that has to do with the markets.
No, but I'm just saying that like because you're trying to say like, oh, this was that. I'm saying
they had slow growth for a developing nation.
No, they
there
didn't.
were a lot of
They
nations
didn't.
that were capitalists.
No, they didn't. They literally
faster.
no, they didn't. Like
I mean,
America,
look at Hong Kong with
how,
the least restrictions that it had. It developed way faster in the
No, it
Soviet
didn't.
Union.
Look, like
that is 100%.
no, it
fact. How
no,
can
it
you deny
isn't. No, it didn't. Like okay, first of all, like we would have to go through like every city in China, every country.
We
like,
can just go through straight GDP growth.
No,
year by year.
Okay, look. And dude, it's not true because want to know why? Look, I can tell you, it's just not true. Like America literally took way longer to develop. Like from the time the colonialism.
It was hundreds of years ago. Technology was shit.
The
Soviet Union was trying to get to the level of the United States. They were trying to achieve something that already existed.
No, not
You're
really.
comparing it to an era where that didn't exist.
No, but the U.S. First of all, no, it didn't, dude. Bro, that's literally fundamentally wrong, and I'll tell you if you can actually let me describe it. Yes, because in 1917, when the revolution happened, it's 1917. It's not that backwards. Like the United States in 1917, bro, Russia was the Tsar. It was a monarchy. Yeah, United States was already a democracy, and you're gonna say that they had the same conditions? Like, no, they didn't. Actually, it was like a HUD. People did live in bad housing.
I'm talking about political systems. I'm talking about economics.
Okay, dude, but what you just said, dude, like you're saying that the conditions of the Soviet Union were like not backwards during the development of their industrialization. Yes, it was.
What I'm saying is that their rate of growth as a nation was a lot slower.
Okay,
than
yes, that's what you said. That's what you said originally, but now, yes, that's what you said originally.
What's the different thing that you're addressing right now? What's the other claim I made that you're addressing?
Okay, the clay. Okay, yes. Okay, hold up. You got me all tied up here, bro. But no, my claim was okay, wait, fuck. All right.
Take your time, bro. Take your time.
No. What was the last thing you said?
We're talking about
I was
You
just
said
talk-
the growth in China was quicker, was the fastest.
No, not China. We were talking
Oh
about
yeah,
the
yeah,
Soviet
okay, yeah,
Union.
no, I got it. So yeah, because you were saying that it wasn't it wasn't fast, and you said that like, oh, that the time that the Soviet Union started industrializing, like in 1917, the time of the revolution, they already had like, you know, they were kind of like already industrialized. They
No.
worked with what they had.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay, then how are you saying? Okay,
No,
then
no.
okay, and if that's not what you're saying, I can continue and saying that. Okay, then how are you saying that like that America was 100 years ago? Like, remember, you're thinking of like the material conditions are different in each time. Like, yes, Russia was a backwards monarchy that didn't have a lot of resources, and the industrialization was a lot.
All I'm trying to say is that empirically, the rate of growth of the Soviet Union
Okay, empirically.
as
Okay,
a
wait.
developing nation was a lot slower than that of other developing capitalist nations by a lot. There were plenty of other nations that were developing using market economies. And they were developing at a faster rate without any of the, you know, necessary human rights violations. Although every country has its thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
there's a bunch of human rights violations in a lot of capitalist countries.
Of course.
No, like, I mean,
and they're completely on the same.
yeah.
place.
Yeah.
No, it's just like no, but the thing is, you talk about the horrors of the failures of socialism, but you're not talking about the failures of capitalism all around the world. You know what I mean? Like, capitalism is a fundamentally failed
It's
system.
the best
and
thing
the only
we
way,
got.
No, the only reason it's better in America
Right.
is because America is the imperialist hegemon. Like,
Right.
wait till like the U.S. dollar collapses, which is gonna happen now. We're gonna have inter-imperialist rivalry with Russia and China. You know what I'm saying? Which, you see, I'm using those words because I'm characterizing their their foreign policies, and
Right.
like that's what I'm saying. Like, of
It's
course,
through the
conditions are.
theft of the wealth of other nations that they're able to achieve.
No,
this
but
level.
also like that yeah, of course, like, we're an imperialist country, that's why
Right.
our conditions are way better like than other capitalist countries that are not imperialist. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
That's the reason.
yes, of course, we extract resources from a bunch of country, and that's why we are better. Yes, and like, I mean, like,
That's
yes, this
why
country,
we're better?
this
Can you
country.
can you
Look, there's
sort
a
of-
lot to it. Like, obviously, I'm not fundamentally saying that is, but yes, that is a big chunk. Like,
I'm
yes,
just saying, 'cause you're
finance capital, like, and from other
Yeah.
countries plays a big role in
Yeah.
the wealth of the United States.
I'm just saying
you know?
that claims like without any way of demonstrating
No,
their
yeah, I
validity
mean, I mean, like, before I came here, like, I got a list of a couple different things. Like, example, like, like, in my phone, I have like the entire, like, what the embargo is, what the actual content of it,
Sure.
etc. You know what I mean? So, I just didn't come prepared with some, like, a statistic for that
Yeah.
question.
I mean,
you know what I'm
you-
saying?
Let me ask you something simple, really simple. If capitalism is horrible and this and that, why don't you live in a communist country?
Because I'm a patriot, I believe in constructing socialism here.
See?
That is some. Come
Did
on.
I not tell
come
you?
On,
Did I-
guy.
What?
Come on, dude.
But that's fine. There's nothing wrong with
No,
that.
no,
I'm not gonna shit on that argument
No,
because
I know.
there's
like,
nothing wrong with that.
Right now, like, if I don't have the wealth to do it, but if I could, like, actually,
would.
I would. Like, example,
Yeah.
I
Where
mean,
would you move?
I mean, bro, I
Give
wouldn't.
me a good answer.
I mean, dude, I wouldn't mind
China?
living. I wouldn't mind living in Cuba. I
Right.
wouldn't
You
mind
wouldn't
living in
mind
Cuba.
living in Cuba?
No, I literally wouldn't.
And you're saying if you had money?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would travel there, try to, like, go there. I mean,
You genuinely don't even believe that, bro.
No, I definitely do.
You
And,
don't
like,
think living in the
you know,
US
I feel like
that.
I feel like
I don't want to get into a.
no, and also living in Cuba has nothing to do with your socialist
Right,
position.
right,
you can
right,
be
right.
somebody and be like, oh, I can live in Cuba and live fine in
I'm
Cuba.
not, I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just
But,
saying, like, you genuinely believe that, though, bro?
But look, like, I do believe in seeing a revolutionary process happening
Right.
in the United States. Like, there's no doubt about
That's
it,
what
and
you
I'm
want.
gonna be
Okay.
part of that process. You know what I mean? Like, and it's gonna be on. It's definitely gonna lean there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the thing is that capitalism has been here and done here. It's been that historical stage of history, and like, it's gonna turn at one point. You know what I mean?
Why?
Because it's just part of it. Like,
Why?
because history develops through
What happens if it
contradiction.
just keeps going and then capitalism is just great?
No,
and
yeah,
we
I mean,
just
like,
keep
the
living?
postmodernists and stuff like that, they want you to believe this, like, that they're, like, example, that
They're a lot more nihilistic.
yeah, they're not more nihilistic, so they want you to believe,
Yeah.
like, the end of history, etc., all these
Yeah.
things, you know what I mean? But the end of history, man, the end of history is a lie.
Yeah.
Like, Fukuyama doesn't know what he's talking about, because, like, when he claimed the history ended, a bunch of revolutions happened right after, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
hey, there's no such thing as the end of history.
I'll be the last guy to defend the postmodernist. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I mean, but, I mean, I would say postmodernism dominates, like, a lot of, like,
There's
academia.
a lot of interesting ideas that were put forward by postmodernists.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, I've read postmodernist theory. Like, I don't think, like, it's dominant in our in like our college spaces and stuff like
And
that.
it is a catch-all term sometimes where it can be sort of
in my opinion, it's kind of just like flirty academia. You know what I'm saying?
It can. Yeah, I can see what you mean.
What are your thoughts on like more new shit like that's happening in the U.S. like critical race theory? I heard you talk about that and stuff. I mean, you agree with it and stuff?
No, I mean,
I don't know what you said in the other pod. I don't remember.
No, I mean, whether I think like I do think, you know, first of all, like I mean, I would want a critical race theory. Like I would want a history of Cuba, like from like the, you know, from like the masses of Cuba. Like in reality, like. You don't have to be a socialist or a capitalist or anything like that to know that like when they talk about like the history of Cuba, etc. like that, they do like chunk out like big chunks. You know what I mean? Like you can, even if you don't like believe in like the things they've done, but like alphabetize it, you know, like literacy, etc. You know what I mean? Like those things are very important. You know what I mean? And also other things like the conditions of like '59 and what led to the revolution, like the Fulgencio Batista dictatorship, the student movement, like the revolutionary history of Cuba, like the example, the Communist Party of Cuba was not started by Fidel or nothing like that. You know, Jose Marti was actually who started the, you know, the Revolutionary Cuban Party alongside Diaz Manel or something like that, who was a Marxist-Leninist. So like Cuba like has a history of like communist, revolutionary, patriotic, you know what I mean, history, you know what I mean. So like example, like as a Cuban also, like that's what I wanted to say, like I defend Cuba's socialism like as a Martiano, as somebody who believes in Jose Marti, as someone who believes in like our Cuban nationality or Cuban identity, which is supposed to be like away from the West, which is supposed to be like not away from the West because we are Pan-American, you know what I mean, but like away from the like the capitalist
from
way
the
of
West
doing
in
things.
the terms of the imperialist capitalist structure.
Yeah, the imperialist policies. Example, you know, like you know, I think you know the trajectory that we're going to like Simón Bolivar and our like Latin American like liberation is almost like connected to socialism. That's why Latin America looked up to the USSR, you know, and you know I feel like those are like interesting things that we have to consider when we talk about like the position of Hispanic people in the belly of the beast. You know what I mean? Because they are gonna lean towards those directions. I feel like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, look. I don't want you to think.
I enjoy the discourse.
This is all friendly.
Yeah.
We're all kicking it, bro.
No, yeah.
Okay.
We're glad to have you here.
No, for sure.
But there is a lot that I just don't see being explained, at least in this conversation so far. Because we can definitely talk about, you know, the history of capitalism or the history of class struggle and all of these different things. But at the same time, there are claims that need to be backed up one way or another.
Yeah.
So the idea of history moving in a certain direction where you're going to end up with capitalism being somehow a thing of the past.
Yeah, no, are you kind of like, okay, I'm just a question. Do you like because example, like I feel like a lot of the rejection of the Telios comes from the neocons though. Like example, like Jim Lindsay and stuff like that.
James Lindsay?
Or like they're academics almost. Yeah. Like they reject the Telios of Marxism, but look, that like getting into the philosophy of Marxism doesn't have nothing to do with it, because Marxism is actually something that manifests itself through the masses, not through like whether they believe history is going to end or not. Like, trust me, un campesino who says, I'm going to throw myself for the communist worldview, they're most of the time, they're not like, oh yeah, because we end up in a Telios and communism is the globe. You know what I mean? A lot of times they're just like, I just want my rights. You know what I mean? I just want workers' rights, etc. And that, you know what I mean? They're not really concerned about the Telios. You know what I mean?
Believe that that's going to happen. Because it does seem like a belief rather than...
No, I mean, I would say that it's almost like, you know...
rather than something that you came to a logical conclusion that this is how it's going to occur.
I mean, I don't think that like something like socialism is faith based. Like example, like we don't subscribe to like adventurism and things like this. You know what I mean? We actually want like practical.
It's materialist.
Yeah, it's materialist. So we want practical results. You know what I mean? We don't try to do things that are not like possible. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like the Telios, I wouldn't say that it's something that's like separate from reality. Something like a theological like. You know, something like almost like a theological Telios or something like that. I don't see it. I don't know. I don't see it like that. You know, when you read Capital, and I feel like you can see more of like what Marx means by the dialectic, and there's a lot of economics in there. You know what I mean? I haven't finished Capital, and it has a lot of like the dense like economic stuff. You know what I mean? So I feel like, but there are a lot. You know, like example, you know, Marx has a whole book on mathematics, etc. There's a lot to that I definitely have to like engage with to see it. If, you know, I do think there's a lot. Because, like, imagine, like, Marxism is a rich philosophy that's, like, engaged with by many intellectual people in the world, many working-class people, a bunch of people are engaging with it. And like to say that those people are wrong for the engagement of this philosophy, or like to say that like it's like something like a nonsense or something like that, it's like that is nonsense, because it's like the richest philosophy in the world. Like, bro, Karl Marx and Frederick Engels are the most people quoted in the world, other than like the Bible. Like, you can like it's wild. Like these people are like they move history. Like,
they're influential for sure.
Yeah. So what I mean is that like you know, I that's why like I think that there's a lot to say, like, because these questions, when you talk about like socialism and capitalism, they're like completely different worldviews.
I really don't I don't subscribe to the idea of like some like pure laissez-faire capitalist
most people don't.
system. Yeah, of course, right, because it's not reasonable.
No, yeah, but that's it. Capitalism doesn't have a teleos where it's trying to reach that. Like, people don't. We've abandoned that. We're like neoliberal phase.
There's a lot of different, because what I use is just basically the term a market economy.
Yeah,
What we have is basically like a mixed market economy, and then there's different variations of that in different nations.
You wouldn't even like take capitalism with like some safety social nets. Like, you wouldn't.
I mean, obviously that's better than capitalism. Like anything that's
what we have here.
Yeah, like that's pretty much. That's what I was gonna say.
It's just a lot more limited here.
Yeah.
But we have it.
No, I don't agree.
We
like,
don't have any social safety nets.
No,
there's no
okay,
disability. There's no
welfare. Okay,
welfare.
No, yes, we do. Like, example, my mother was literally just removed off like EBT, and she has like an autistic child. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that there's a reality to it, though. Yeah, there is. Like, there are poor people like all over South Florida. Like, look at Little Haiti, look at Alapata, look at Liberty City. You know what I'm saying? Like, what they so a lot of those people are
everywhere
actually
in the world, though.
Yeah,
bro.
but like, example, a lot of those people are not like accessible to EBT, and they've tried, etc. Like, I've been in those scenarios like with family members where they're not able to get it. You know what I'm saying?
The only point I'm trying to make is that the United States.
But the thing is that I don't think that people should rely on like serving keeping themselves stable through like fucking healthcare. Like, they should have their job should be able to keep them stable. Like, everybody's job should be able to give them a wage that they should be able to live off. You know what I'm saying?
And how can that be guaranteed?
Like, first of all, under socialism, you have your housing is free. So like, example, like that whole like dead end where you have to live paycheck by paycheck to pay the house. Yeah, the masses build the house. Like, it's like the state builds the houses.
The state.
Yeah, like in every socialist country.
Do you think the state is good at allocating capital? And deciding the actual needs of an entire population?
Nah, you know, I think like there's a lot to be said about that. Like, example, because we get into like, you know, statism, etc., like state capitalism, etc. Yeah, like whether, you know, we talk a lot about like, you know, and because the thing is that I will present to you like whether there's like an inter-party bourgeoisie, whether they're really practicing socialism. Like, you know, like there are you know, China is revisionist. They have, you know, they did revert 30 years of socialism. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, like I would say that
but
right now
their economy is definitely doing a lot better since the reform.
No, yeah, but like
no props to capitalism.
I mean, Deng
for that
Xiaoping
one,
came.
No, but Deng Xiaoping is a comrade. Like, of course, like, because we came up with socialism with Chinese characteristics.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean? Like,
comrade, you refer these guys as your socialist buddies.
Yeah. Well, you know, like Chairman Deng, like, you know.
Who was that? That was the
Deng Xiaoping.
Who's that?
He was, you know, president after
Deng
Mao.
Xiaoping, after Mao.
He did the reforms.
Oh, he was after Mao.
Yeah.
Oh, he was the one that did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, he's an amazing like Marxist theoretician. Like, I've read his works, etc. You know, like I think I do think that there's a lot to be learned about implementing the market for socialist purposes.
Right.
Yeah.
But what would remain of socialism after the markets are involved?
Yeah, it wouldn't be socialist then.
No, I beg to differ. I think that usually like it's all about like usually people take the economic route and they put what they start to do is put the mode of production first, and they say that like through the mode of production, like once you build up like the productive forces and the relations of production, you can shoot an economy into like a socialist transition. Like China right now, they don't consider themselves socialist right now. They say like that they're obviously like in this like kind of like state capitalist socialist phase, right?
Right.
And they say that like they're trying to build up their means of production. It's kind of like Deng Xiaoping theory, etc. You know what I mean? That through like through an economic transition towards socialism, rather than when it puts like the masses in like in play.
I mean,
you know
did you see what was going on in China like during COVID?
Like the COVID, the zero like policy,
like
COVID.
They couldn't leave their fucking door, bro. People were committing suicide.
No, I mean, I obviously don't agree with any policies that don't serve the people. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay,
yeah, like there.
I don't want to straw man you on that.
No, look, It all depends. Like in my opinion, like where I'm at in my like socialist like growth, like I feel like really on my position on China, I think that China plays as like geopolitically as just like it plays a role against the West. You know what I mean? Like right now,
Sure.
China does help Africa. China is trying to help Latin America. I think that rivalry is good for, you know, it's bad for the U.S. So and it's good for these countries. It puts like like our geopolitical scenario at a more like people become more kind of class conscious at this point. You know what I mean? Like
you don't think
like okay.
you don't think you're not open-minded at all though? You think you're a little too close-minded about socialism?
No, I don't. I think
Genuinely?
I think to accept socialism, you have to be one of the most open-minded people in the world.
I mean, I like a lot of like welfare and all that shit. That like that's part of. I agree with all shit like that. Like I think there should probably be free healthcare. I'm not saying I'm like a complete fucking like there's I think there's pros. I mean, there's a lot of cons to communism and socialism. But I don't know. Maybe there's one or two that's probably good. I don't know. But overall, bro, like I just think.
Nah, it's just I beg
It's
to
hard
differ.
to go ahead.
I beg to differ. I think that like you can see like example like dude like I can literally show you a video of what Vietnam looks like before the revolution. Like French people literally used to go there and like you can see it's like a very famous video. Like throw bread on the floor and like Vietnamese children literally like birds used to go there and eat and like pick it from the floor. Like
Bro,
when you know when Vietnam was like considered like Indochina etc. by the imperialists. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now Vietnam is a pueblo on its 2 feet. You know what I mean? And it stands against like imperialism. You know what I mean? I do think, like, I think they play a progressive role geopolitically, and I think that they're like that role, like, is supposed to like, by that example, it empowers the working class of the states. You know what I mean? That's why the working class, like during the 1900s, like the IWW, of course they were taking of course they were learning from the Soviet Union, of course they were getting trained from the USSR, and if you call that like social imperialism, I don't agree with that being social imperialism. Like example, during the Korean Revolution, some people consider that social imperialism. But no, it's not like it wasn't like sort of like the satellite states like doing this sort of like puppeteering. Like the masses were a lot involved in it.
You wanted to discuss North Korea, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask you, since what's your thoughts on North Korea? And how,
Yeah, no,
like,
I mean, I think the DPRK is definitely a misunderstood country. You know what I'm saying? 100%, I do think it's a misunderstood country.
Right.
So you rock with Kim Jong Un?
I mean, like, I think the DPRK is interesting. An example, like,
I mean, people over there are fucking.
look.
They're going through it. Bro.
Look, man.
Is it Western propaganda?
Yeah, no. A lot of that shit is though. Like, of course, there is problems in the DPRK, of course, but like
it's exaggerated.
No, but it is though. Like, I wish we can sit here and like actually kick back and like go into like some shit. Like example, like there are brigades that go to the DPRK, etc. There are people who go to the DPRK. I've met people who've gone to the DPRK. And you know, I do think that there are things to learn about the DPRK. Yeah, I don't know. Like I do think like the way that they've learned how like to implement like collectivism. I do think that there's things to learn about that. I do think that like I've read the Juche works. I do think that the Juche philosophy is a beautiful philosophy. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I think that example. You know, like the Black Panther Party went to the DPRK, went to got trained. The DPRK has trained like Palestinian freedom fighters against Israel apartheid. They've trained the IRA, you know, and I think that that's where we should look at where the DPRK does. I think that the DPRK is very interesting. Like I saw this documentary where like a bunch of Western artists went to the DPRK, and like one of the artists he cut himself in front of like DPRK, and he like painted this painting with like his blood on it. You know what I mean? He did like something that was so like Western. You know what I mean? Like, you know how like German artists are and French artists are, like they're like, I want to put my blood in the painting. Like, you know how Americans are and shit. And like the DPRK, like it was so foreign to them. It was like this, like he was like, what? Like, it was like they couldn't understand it. You know, they said like paint, like a lot of the paintings they said were supposed to depict like social life, etc., and different things like that. Whether like Western art was very individualistic, very abstract, etc. Like example, they saw like the dude like painting like just like colorful shapes, and like the guy in the DPRK was like, this guy like he thought he was like mentally ill or something. You know what I mean? He was like drawing like a toddler. You know what I mean? Like and I do think that there's things to learn from it. Like, you know, I don't don't know, like, yeah, like, you know, I think, you know, Kim Il-sung is the eternal president of the DPRK. You know, he's fire. Like,
Right.
Juche is the ideology that illuminates our path towards socialism. Like, and I think I rock with it, bro. I there's things to learn. Your Korea, you know, and that's their form of socialism that they have done it. They tried to like mesh their
When you say their,
like their national, with their national identity, etc. You know what I'm saying?
that this is something that like the people agree with.
You know, I mean, there's a lot to it, you know. But actually, look, unlike Cuba, where you know, the DPRK actually is not a one-party state though. Like there actually are two other parties. You know what I'm saying? But one of them is the religious Buddhist party, and then the other one is like the Social Democrat party. You know what I'm saying? Now, whatever. I fuck with the DPRK. They took the nicer chunk of Korea, like with the beautiful mountains, beautiful art. Like the DPRK.
Is it democratic?
Yeah, bro. I think it is.
People are getting their brains blown up.
Bro, look, man, like, dude, there's literally articles that have came out of CNN where they say like they have fake.
Yeah, all of them are fake.
Nah,
man.
bro, listen. One of the, I mean, dude, bro, like, you actually gotta read the content of that shit. Sometimes, like, it's literally bullshit. Like, it's literally bullshit.
A lot of it is, but
no, like example, there is no Western press in the DPRK, bro. So how are you gonna get like NK News is the main place where like CNN gets their stuff from, like, and Fox, you know, like mainstream media, they get them stuff from that, and it's obviously like it's like Western propaganda, like, you know what I mean? It's not. You know what I mean?
Nothing coming from the West is true, bro.
No, no, it's not that nothing from the West is true. It's just told from their perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's told from the perspective of the West.
You can take things out. You can put in whatever you
alter
want
certain things.
No, of course. And the thing is that like the United States is, you know, they talk about human rights abuses, like whatever, dude.
And
like,
they have their own human rights abuses.
Yeah, no. And the thing is, like, bro, Africa's literally still like example. Africa literally still wants relations with the DPRK. Like that's the funny thing. Like all of these countries are still wanting relations with the DPRK. Like Gaddafi went to the DPRK. A bunch of African leaders go to the DPRK, like the Mongolia was going to the DPRK. Like, that's a funny thing. Like a bunch of the world was aligned with the DPRK, and yeah, like I think that like the example, yeah, there's no war on the DPRK. There shouldn't be no war waged against the DPRK. Like the reason DPRK has become a place that has to protect their socialism with nukes is literally because of like like that is 100% because of imperialism. Like dude, the United States has done like just in South America alone 56 military interventions. Like that's insane, you know what I mean? And like yes, those military interventions where you talk about like where are the deaths of capitalism, those are there. That is the death of capitalism, you know what I mean? Like example, like what I do, the caravan work, this is the story of the caravan. The caravan was started by a pastor who went to Nicaragua on a brigade, right? And he was shot by the CIA-backed Contras when he was helping them farm.
Right.
His tax dollars funded the bullet that shot him.
Yeah.
In another country. And you know, the story is that he was a pastor, he prayed, and through these ideas, like we started the Cuban caravan, you know what I mean? And like that foreign policy does kill people all over the world, you know what I mean? Yeah, and like the reason that people are even dying right now in Ukraine in a proxy war that is being initiated by the West, like which is using Ukraine like a puppet and like killing innocent people, you know what I mean?
Let me ask you something. Do you apply the same level of skepticism to the news sources that you use as the level of skepticism that you apply to Western outlets?
Yeah, of course. No, yeah, of course. I mean, everything. Of course, that is also going to be told through their perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is no like concrete truth. Like there is no.
Of course,
like,
there's concrete truth. Like I'm a philosophy, we believe there's concrete truth. You know what I mean? Like I believe there's concrete truth. You know what I mean? At least you know, like there of course there's concrete truth. You know, you know.
But if it's told from each perspective, then is it really a truth?
No, like you can like observe something that's going through. You can just paint a picture that's different. You know what I mean? Like like you can observe a fact. Like example, like I can tell you that like a fact. I can tell you a theory. I can give you two theories. I can tell you a fact that like you know everything falls, and I can tell you that it's because of gravity. I can tell you it's because of God.
Trust me, we talk a lot about philosophy,
different.
so we talk about this all the time.
Yeah. No, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I have found a lot of these ideas interesting. I also, I guess, do you see yourself as more of someone who is just, in a way, working towards the practice of fighting imperialism or just working to be able to reach some level of socialism that can overthrow the what is it called, the capitalist class of the United States and imperialism, Western imperialism in general. Is that what you see yourself as? Do you see yourself more as that, as opposed to someone who has like these sort of more concrete ideas about what sort of an economy and a political structure you would like to see?
Like, example, first of all, I'm a communist musician, so my work is obviously deals with hegemony. That's my field of work, meaning proletarian culture, proletarian subculture. That's what I deal with. Obviously, everybody has a position in the revolutionary process. Some people are economists, some people are philosophers, some people are teachers, some people are soldiers. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's so many activities to like the revolutionary process. Like, as of now, you know, I'm an organizer as well. You know what I mean? I see myself like I still see that that socialism in the United States is developing. You know what I mean? Like, we do have a national communist movement happening in the United States with many parties, PSL, FRSO, Communist Party USA. Like, these are all parties in the US that are obviously mobilizing against imperialism, mobilizing against fascism. You know, and like I think we will see socialism, or like at least something like it, like it manifests in the United States. Like I am a firm believer of, like, you know, the contradiction, and that's how like the history moves through that contradiction. You know what I mean? So I just see like a transition of from capitalism coming soon. Yeah,
sort of like
or not soon. Capitalism is bound to transition. We can, like, when we talk about like the rate of the falling rate of profit, etc. You know, I do think it's like bound to collapse. You know what I mean? And like with the whole like end of the history. So I think it's just like, you know, like, remember, like this, like something like the 1900s. It's like barely 2 people go, 3 people go. You know what I mean? It's not that. It's actually not that far. You know what I mean? So yeah, like, we still have a lot to see of the socialist movement developing in the imperialist country, which is probably like, you know, we're talking about like socialism in the United States. It's very hard to imagine it. You know what I mean? Especially like with like what Lenin, with our understanding of Marxism and Leninism, like Lenin tells us that actually, like, because Marx says that, you know, revolution is more likely to happen in the developing nations. And then Lenin like says Britain, that no, at Lenin, the time. You know, and obviously also, you know, most people believe that as well. And then, like, you know, because of Lenin's analysis of imperialism, you know, imperialism wasn't really developed at, like, as, you know, during Marx's time, like how Lenin had seen it. And because of that, you know what I mean, he started saying that, no, like, these imperialized countries were going to break into revolution first, you know what I mean, due to the contradiction of imperialism. So, like, you know, we talk about those things, like, that's where you get, like, kind of, like, positions like Maoism, Third Worldism, all these other, like, kind of, like, you know, that there has to be, like, a global revolution, etc. You get, like, Trotskyism, stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Trotsky was an interesting dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, he's actually even important for Cuba. Like,
I wonder what happened in Mexico. That was interesting.
Good things.
Yeah, but I make music too, bro. Yeah. But he actually raps too. Dude, this guy's like the complete opposite of you in like music form.
No, but I would like to sort of
keep on, go
probe a little bit more.
Go ahead, bro. I'm chilling, bro.
On the other side of the question that I was asking you, because it had more to do with like whether you see yourself more as someone who's like a, you know, sort of an organizer, and you told me that you're an artist, and this is where you're coming from. Do you have any sort of like solidified views of economic policies that you would like to see? You told me something about collectivizing in some way.
No, I mean,
would you like a command economy, for example?
Okay, I mean, you know, I don't really have much to say on this, and it's unfortunate because I feel like I do. I just feel like it's not as concrete as, like, exactly. It's not. No, I don't have something very concrete. But I mean, I do think like it all depends. I think for like different, like, part of the Midwest, you can have like probably a lot of like agrarian reform and stuff like that, and probably places like the Sun Belt and stuff like that. Like you have different policies manifest there. You know.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay.
You know, in my opinion, like, that's where we talk, like, you know, I would say, just from my perspective, like, against, like, when we talk about, like, Maoism and against vulgar materialism, like, I think that, you know, sometimes we talk about socialism and we're so focused on the mode of production, but, like, socialism, a lot of times, we're seeing socialism even before it enters, like, that stage. Like, example, like, in the Philippines, like, they haven't, you know, gotten state power, etc., but you see class struggle there, you know what I mean? You see, that is socialism, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, yeah.
Is there any evidence that would ever convince you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if any evidence were to come along,
Yeah.
would you ever be open to the idea that you're wrong about your ideas?
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is that, in my opinion, like, these places, like, the ideas that a lot, like, and the notions that these socialist countries are like fighting for are still ones that we should fundamentally uphold, you know what I mean? So I think it's gonna be hard, like, even if you show me, like, oh, but it's not working, like, I still will be an anti-imperialist, therefore I'm still gonna support, like, national liberation movements and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, you can show me, like, but there's been, like, you can tell me, like, oh, but there's human rights abuses in Cuba or something like that, right? Which, like, there's a lot to say about that.
Right.
And but then you can show me, like, a socialist revolution happening in Africa right now, like right now there's literally uprisings happening and you know, in Mali. I don't know if you've been seeing, like, you know, they're literally kicking out the French and everything, you know, and, like, they you know, Nigeria already says that they do want to intervene, and Nigeria is obviously a puppet of the United States, and Niger just had a revolt, etc., and I'm gonna support it. And a lot of people are like, oh, like, well, you're gonna support, like, some African warlord or something like that, but no, I like that I support the national liberation movement. I do support, like, the self-determination of Africans. So, like, I do think that, like, AFRICOM and ECOWAS, all these, like, U.S. backed organizations, and they shouldn't be in Africa, you know. So that's the thing, like, and if they start to take a trajectory towards socialism, I'm gonna support it, because I'm gonna support their decision. You know what I'm saying?
Just on maybe rephrasing the question would more, like, lead to the direction that I'm coming from. So, say there was some sort of concrete evidence, right? Let's say we took it for granted, right? This is completely hypothetical, but say we took it for granted that there is evidence that a market economy is undeniably much better than any socialist economy, right? If we took that for granted, if that were a fact, would that change your mind?
Even then.
If you can prove to me that like, using a market economy to even, like, serve the interests of the people, you know what I mean, then of course I would say that's socialism. Like I said, socialism is what serves the people. But I would say, you know, I think I don't think that you will ever be able to show me that evidence, though. Right. And I will swallow my words. Like, sure. I'll literally, like, we can, like, print it out and, like, blend it or something. I'll drink it, I swear to God. Sure. Yeah, like, so I'll hold that promise. I don't think that you'll ever have the evidence to show me that. Like, I don't think that it'll happen. Due to me seeing the trajectory that capitalism is taking in the U.S., you know?
And does that, to you, have some sort of predictive value? Like, you see the trajectory and you say this?
No, I mean, I'm not empirically looking at it and saying, like, oh, you know, like, you can see it, you know, like, housing is becoming super expensive in Miami, etc.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And, you know,
the question is why.
I mean, the question of why,
because that's important.
Yeah,
right?
no, I mean the question of why. Like, I can tell you a lot. Like, example, there's fucking, like, business owners in Miami who literally, like, like, you know, the reason why, you know, like, example, there's literally fucking billionaires in Miami that make money off, like, war in Venezuela, war in Cuba, you know what I mean? They make money off there and it being an embargo. Like, they don't want an embargo so they can go work with, like, Cuba Max, etc., and then send shit to Cuba that way. And then they say that they don't want to support dictatorship, etc. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a lie, you know what I'm saying? Like, you having these, like, policies against this country, etc., literally, like they're not for, like, peaceful reasons, etc., you know? I know I strayed away from the question, but yeah, my bad.
It happens. But the fuck were we talking about? Jesus
no, look,
Christ.
I think
I'm getting a contact high from you guys. You guys are fucking stoners. God,
look, I think what
Jesus.
do you what do you guys think about, like, the you know, the events developing in Ukraine and Russia?
I wish I had enough information to tell you
Same.
something that is like legit and be like, this is the good side, this is the bad side, and honestly, I don't even think there is a good side.
Yeah, period. I just think it wasn't happening. You know, I wish there was no war.
Yeah, no, of course. Everybody wishes there was no war there.
But there is.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. There is no, and actually, bro, you know that they're actually like, you want to, dude, like I forgot what country it was. It was a country in South America that is obviously like tied with the U.S. They were sending like soldiers from the it wasn't Colombia. Colombia has Petro now. I forgot, but they were going to like Ukraine, and they were showing like they were fighting for Ukraine. And they were recording it. They were like, oh, this is how they treat us, etc. And they were like a bunch of Ukrainians like beating up like, you know, like Latin Americans going over there to fight for like Ukrainian sovereignty. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I think it's unfortunate because I do see kind of like almost like kind of like color revolution-y, like when it happened, everybody was with the Ukraine flag, everybody was supporting this,
Right.
etc. You know what I mean?
There was definitely a lot of money, and we all know the government is spending tremendous
look how
amount
much
of money
money
in
is going to Ukraine. All that money can literally be going to us. All that money can be going to the
100%.
people. Yeah, like, and all that money goes to Ukraine. And then the funny thing is, like, you know, like, I think, bro, as crazy as it sounds, like, I think we should have diplomatic relations with Russia too, and that doesn't even come from a socialist position. Like even Trump was trying to have more diplomatic relations with Russia.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What are your thoughts on our president right now?
On Biden?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like, I think he should be trialed too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
all of them, every single one of them, all of them.
I don't think you would support it if it was Democrat over
No,
Republican.
I don't give, bro.
We're-
Dude, all that bullshit that people were pulling
Yeah.
off in that election with the whole greater evil, that shit, man, that shit made me want to shoot myself. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, this is even worse. Oh, this is worse. Like, you know, it's bad, you know, but, you know, electoral politics are shit. Like, I think we can all agree that, like, any president we're going to be getting is fucking shit. Like, I don't think Trump is good. I don't think, obviously, I'm a socialist. I don't think any of those parties are fucking good. You know what I mean? Like, anyways, bro, they literally continue the same foreign policy half of the time. You know what I mean?
it's a
I mean, Obama kind of weakened the embargo a little bit.
it's a bit of a mixed bag sometimes.
What are your thoughts on the World Economic Forum?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't fucking agree with that shit either. Like, that's, that's like, you know, globalism, capitalism, you know, like,
It does
that's
have a
part
semblance of fascism about it, doesn't
sure.
it?
No, I don't think, in my opinion, the World Economic Forum is a tool of the West, first of all, you know what I mean? It's a way for them to control all the economies in the world and keep, you know, the US dollar dominant. Like, you know, it's just for their interests. Like, yeah.
You don't see them in any way like supporting and sort of promoting the idea that China is the way of the future.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, like example, the World Economic Forum, like, oh, no property, no, like, you'll have nothing, you'll own nothing, you'll be happy.
You'll be happy,
like, dude, I think, in my opinion, bro, I think, like, the World Economic Forum, bro, like, they're like out of pocket online. Like, I just think that they make these crazy articles sometimes, in my opinion. Like, I don't think that, I don't know, like, but I don't know. I don't think that there's anything like I don't think there's no. Yes, I do, but I don't think it's like obviously I don't think it's a socialist agenda. Like when people like the right wing, they try to conflate like globalism and socialism together. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But I mean, you know, like it's definitely an interesting topic. Like we can obviously talk about like, oh yeah, like every like imperialist country works together. You know what I mean? Like,
what are your thoughts on technocracy? As
technology, etc.
Not technology per se, but the idea, because technocracy.
I know I've heard this term, but I know that
it's definitely, it's not that. I mean, it's very popular. I would assume among these folks that are at the top of these organizations. But basically, the idea that experts are going to be the ones that sort of run society. They're going to be the ones that sort of decide, well, this is the way it should work because they're the experts.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a way, like, we already, yeah, the World Economic, that is what we have.
Right.
Yeah,
it is a technocratic
That's what they want, pretty
philosophy
much.
that they're
we should eat insects.
Yeah, I mean, no, yeah, I don't agree. Example, like, right now, sometimes, like, the U.S. literally shits on Africa when they try to, like, when they release, like, toxic shit in the air, and it's like, bro, like, really? You know, like, you're the United States of America, you know what I mean? And because of they're trying to be all, like, green and shit, you know what I mean? And they don't let, like, a fucking country in Africa develop because they can't be, like, you know what I mean? And obviously, like, and because of this, like, because of policies like that, like, globalist policies like that, like, it's bullshit.
The U.S. aren't saints, bro. I would definitely...
No, I do think that the U.S. has played, like, a fundamentally evil role geopolitically, like, very, like, horribly. Like, it's...
I just think generally though we just have the best freedoms in this country.
No, it's just also like, but the thing is, like, example, like, dude, like, but the thing is, like, look, like, Russia really though is not an imperialist country. Like, I'm not talking about when it was the Soviet Union, like right now, the Russian Federation. Like, it really isn't. Like, it doesn't wage war for the countries. The United States constantly has troops everywhere, constantly funds like military organizations, constantly is backing like terrorist groups. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of countries do not do that. Like, look, example. Cuba does not fund no terrorist organization, no nothing. Like, you know what got Cuba on the state sponsors list of terrorism was literally conducting a peaceful conversation between the ELN and the Colombian government. That's what got Cuba on the state sponsors list of terrorism. You know what I mean?
I mean, that might have been used as the
of course.
the
Also,
official
no,
reason,
of course there was
but...
like, of course, because the Cuba has obviously backed like Marxist-Leninist groups and like, you know, and revolutionary organizations looking to overthrow imperialism. But so has like obviously so does the U.S. and also it's like that, like they're conducting it in their hemisphere in Latin America to nations that are literally open to this. Like Colombia was open to peaceful talks with the ELN. You know what I mean? So like, you know, like I think that, you know, like Cuba literally gives doctors out. Like I was really for today I was looking at some statistics and stuff like that. But like it's thousands. Like Cuba has supplied a bunch of countries with thousands of doctors. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, there's a beautiful documentary called Por la Vida, and it's about the Henry Reeve Brigade. Dude, that documentary it'll literally make you cry, like, because you actually see that yes, these people are on an international mission of like helping like nations that are not being helped by the West. Usually nations that are not traditionally helped by the West, they don't get aid from the West. You know what I mean? And Cuba is there, you know, for those countries, you know. And that's where I always say it's always gonna have that bedrock when people say the embargo this, Cuba that, human rights this, like, but like. The like every other, but then like Africa and South America is still looking towards Cuba. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that like the middle or like a middle class position of an American on what is the trajectory of like Cuba, what is the trajectory of Latin America, what is the trajectory of China. You know what I mean? Is not relevant. So a lot of times to like the fucking like 1 billion party members of China. It's not relevant to like the 400 million party members of Vietnam. You know what I mean? Which make up a significant like population. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think like the West, we're always critiquing other countries, always looking to intervene in other countries, etc. I think if we let other countries do their thing, like it'll be better. You know what I mean? I don't mean it in an ignorant like a lot of people, you know, they don't want that. They think we need to be this way. So you know, China, Russia, etc. Like they want you to think China and Russia is your enemy, so you don't look at like the capitalists in your workplace as your enemy.
Would you describe them as the good guys? Or?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Like,
I mean, bro, dude, to be honest, dude, like when it comes to like the special operation that's going on in Ukraine right now.
They definitely don't like us.
No, but look, I
mean, even their own internal politics, though, like it's.
Yeah. Look, like I
mean, do you believe that you, for example, well, not necessarily you, because you have the people's opinion. Let's say, for example, me, right, who would be highly critical of socialist governments, for example, right? Do you think I would have more of an ability to express myself freely here or in China?
I mean, dude, bro, like you know that there are like protests in China all the time, etc. Like there is, like there's also mobilization. Like example, a lot of it comes from like the students in the colleges, etc. Yeah, and example, some of the students are Maoists. Some of the students literally are Maoists for real.
I'm sure.
Like example, during the COVID lockdown, like during the whole protest, etc. There was people in Tiananmen Square literally like they were chanting like Marx and Lenin and Mao, etc. Like there's people who still uphold like returning to that socialist path. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but China loves Marx and shit.
The idea was,
but he's asking like. If we're in China right now, fucking just talking shit about the CCP.
No, but dude, this was during like the COVID lockdown protests. Like those people were wilding out. There was people saying like there was people also chanting like Xi Jinping shouldn't be president, that he should resign.
But do I have more freedom to express myself here in China?
I mean, I don't think you don't have freedom to express yourself here. I am an organizer, dude. The police get on my ass all the time. They don't let us do anything. Like example, I have permits. We have permits, and we have permits. And once we get to Miami International, we have permits to be like on the sidewalk. Yeah. And like just this last protest, they don't let us do these things. And I literally have the permit, and they don't let us do these things. Like we don't have the right. Like multiple times.
That's not right. I mean,
multiple times they don't allow us to do shit. They don't allow us to organize. Like they crack down on us, etc. Look, you guys want to
What
hear a
don't
lot?
they
No,
let you
because
do?
I can tell you what I do. Like, I work with this group, right? The Alianza Martiana, right? It's a historical group here. One of the members in it, his name is Max Lesnick. He was part of the Orthodox Party with Fidel, and during the Moscow Pact, he came over here, right? He's very infamous. The Alianza Martiana was carpet bombed 6 times.
Right.
That place, like, and now, you know, like, it's still like that. Like, those same gusanos, like, remember, Orlando Bosch, how many Cubans did he kill? Do you know who that is? Orlando Bosch was, he was a Cuban exile who came here, who obviously got U.S. training, and he put bombs on a plane that went to Cuba, and he killed 75 people on that plane. And people, they were like, they were children. They were literally like children, like, they were athletes. They were going to, like, another country. And you want to know what he said when they told him? They were like, oh, they were all complying for the dictatorship. That's why they deserved it. Like, and those people, they were literally people who they were like athletes. They were athletes, like child athletes. That's what was on that. You know what I mean? Like Alpha 66,
That's
all these there are militant. No, but there are militant militant anti-Castro organizations in Miami that what they do is they try to inflict violence upon us, and not only that, they try to put policies to starve out the Cuban pueblo, and also
I think the Cuban government is doing a great job of doing that on their own. They don't need the embargo for that shit.
They're pushing these policies. They're gonna push these policies.
People are starving in Cuba, bro.
No, yeah, but they're gonna push these. Look, they're gonna the blockade. The point of it is literally for them to starve. It's an economic warfare. You know what I mean?
It just doesn't achieve the goal.
Look, and my point is here, because my point is there freedom of speech in the United States? No, there isn't. And the United States also will support the people who suppress our freedom of speech. And that's when I say, like, the Alliance...
That wasn't the question, though, was it?
I don't know.
Well, you asked me, like, if you have freedom of speech here, and I'm telling you...
No, that wasn't... The question was, am I more free to express myself here or in China?
Yeah.
Where do you have more expression?
Yeah,
in the U.S. or China?
I would say that, to be honest, bro, they're most likely very equivalent, like in their no, yeah, they are. No, they are. Like,
you genuinely believe that, bro?
Yeah. No, for real.
Okay.
For real. No, but because the thing is that you can see like opposition. Like,
I can talk shit about the U.S. government here, and nothing will happen.
No, but look, like, bro, yes, you can also too. There, like, example, there's literally separatists.
You cannot,
like,
bro.
Look, the whole shit about like the Uyghur crisis, the and all that. Like, example, like there are like separatist organizations inside of, you know, and they have power and stuff like that. Like, they do like basically like fight against China almost. You know what I mean? Like, there are internal power struggles inside of China. That's what I'm saying. Just like there are internal power struggles inside of the United States.
But I mean, anybody could go missing, bro. A freaking billionaire. I forgot what his name was. He was a Chinese dude. And he said something about the way, like, the government was running in China, and he went missing for, like, a couple...
I mean, bro, dude, what is COINTELPRO? Like, what about, like, you know what I mean? Like, COINTELPRO was literally an operation meant to kill a bunch of civil rights activists who a lot of times uphold socialism, you know what I mean? Like, why do they say Tupac is in Cuba? Because his mom did flee to Cuba. His mom got political asylum in Cuba.
Tupac is not in Cuba, bro.
No, I'm not saying it's a joke. Right. Cuba, obviously Tupac is not in Cuba, but his mom is. Assata Shakur was a Black Panther member who was accused of murdering a police officer, and she went to Cuba because she got political asylum in Cuba.
That's true, she did.
Yeah, I know this.
Just like Cuba has given political asylum to a lot of Black Panther Party members.
I remember when Angela Davis went there. It was a huge spectacle. They wouldn't stop talking about
For sure,
her.
she pulled up to Cuba, I remember. Angela Davis is funny, bro.
Yeah, no, and I think also, like, man, Cuba, Joe, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Like, example, during the fall of the Soviet Union, what happened? Everybody thought it was gonna go, right? And then what happened? Elian Gonzalez happened, right? And then Elian Gonzalez was a qualitative change in the history of Cuba as what they stand for. And then what happened is Venezuela happened. And Venezuela reaffirming Cuba's revolutionary position geopolitically. And now,
this is what I think is one of the big, like, flaws in, like, command economies is that they so over-relied on the Soviet Union. It wasn't because they couldn't trade with other countries, because they do that all the time, right? It was basically that they decided to rely on that country. It was a sort of a quid pro quo situation going on. I mean, that over dependence on it, and no wonder you end up with periodo especial, right? You have an over dependence on a country that's on the brink of collapse. It collapses, and
but look, that's why.
There you go.
No, but dude, that's why there's a lot to learn from the DPRK. Look, this is why the DPRK didn't have to pick sides during the Sino-Soviet split. They didn't have to. There was no special period in the DPRK. There was like there was like a special period. But like example, like actually, dude, like bro, I don't know if you actually see photos from the DPRK, like Pyongyang or Romung and all these, actual cities and stuff like that. Like they're like example, the DPRK. Yeah, okay, we have some shit. We can, we'll talk about it. But they do have active, like they build a bunch of fucking houses. Like like a bunch of people have housing in the DPRK, and you should see like the cool aesthetics that they're pulling out now. You know what I mean? So like
you think they're outdoing South Korea or?
Oh fuck yeah! No, I'm telling you, I can show it to you.
They're economically superior.
Bro, Pyongyang is a super city, and also, by the way, like they have world record architecture. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Like the world's biggest stadium, the Mayday Stadium, is in Pyongyang. Like the world's deepest subway system is in Pyongyang, and like like
I know, I've seen it. I've seen videos of it.
Yeah, like also like how like communist countries are about like metro stations and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
A lot of infrastructure projects.
Yeah, but there's also like example in the DPRK. There's stuff like music appreciation centers. They're like example like the where you leave your children is literally like it's a huge ass place. Like I heard that like Russia just built this new school. It's almost similar to like what would you see like kind of like this like schools that like are for like thousands of students. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of like example. That there are. That why reunification is very popular even in South Korea, is very popular among like elders because like elders see that like the DPRK traditionally has been able to like keep a lot of the Korean culture, you know what I mean? Other than like the South Korea has been, the West has influenced their culture a lot,
So you think people in North Korea are happy?
I mean, the thing is that people in North Korea think completely different than us, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, they're kind of programmed to.
I mean, so are we. We also are products of our system, and we are liberalism. Like the way we speak and talk.
Do you think we have the same access to information that they do? Or
no, but look, like example, they do have.
They have access to information.
Come on,
they
bro.
can
They can't even
access
go on
the internet.
YouTube, bro.
No, I mean it's just like they're like, dude, look. It's just
they block a lot.
Like the U.S., like obviously, bro. Like, but like a Westerner's like definition of freedom of being like able to access YouTube is like it doesn't mean anything to a citizen of the DPRK whose family fought against like South Korean fascists, who fought against like who fought against who fought against Japan, who have a history of like fighting against. This is what I'm saying. Like America is not even a fucking country, dog.
People are starving over there.
Look, America's not even a country, bro. It has no identity, dog. Like Korea and Russia, like those are countries that have identities, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, like watching YouTube and stuff like that, like I guess that like whatever, every dude in the States wants to become like an influencer or something like that. Whether in like the DPRK, like the values are different. The values are completely different.
I'm not sure what YouTube has to do with it though.
Yeah, I wasn't putting emphasis. We were just saying that they block a lot of shit. They don't have the same access to information in general. Like they don't.
Nah, but they got access to it, bro. They got access to base information. Like I watched DPRK today, bro. Their news is fire, dog. Like whatever they get. Actually, they watch a lot of shit. They get Russian channels and shit. Like you know what I mean. Like,
you don't watch anything from the West or like.
I mean. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'll see like mainstream media cover something. Like example, like Trump was just giving a speech like yesterday. I tuned into that. Like I tune into a lot of political events. If it's on mainstream media, I'll look at it.
Sure.
I read a lot of my shit because like since I read a lot from like socialist newspapers and stuff like that, from other socialist parties and stuff like that.
Right.
Like I'll read it from there type shit. You know what I mean? But I mean, like I don't know, like I wouldn't rely on like mainstream media anyways. Like most, So.
Would you say that you rely on the other sources you just mentioned, or most of the news I come is usually like either from like a journal from a communist party, but usually not like a communist party, like not from like the Communist Party of China, like communist parties in like the United States, etc., or other organizations. You know what I mean? Like because example, like down here in Florida, we'll work with like a Pan-Africanist organization. They'll have like newspapers and shit. So I get some media from there. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. Anything that I like to get, like anti-imperialist news media, etc. Shit like that. Yeah. And do you trust them?
Yeah. I mean, I trust it. I think when it comes to like anti-imperialism, it's pretty like like it's pretty hard to like make it look like a country's not like taking over another country. You know what I mean? I guess like where it becomes like ideological is like whether people say now like like U.S. out of Africa, etc., and obviously like Russia and China are now opening their arms to Africa, etc., to work together and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then like there's different parts of like the Pan-Africanist type like of org. Some people say, oh yeah, we should work with China. Others are like, no, we should, it should be completely independent, it should just be like that. But they'll say something like, no, yeah, China's also conducting imperialism. You know what I mean? So it's very just all that type. I don't watch just socialist media. I'll even watch media that will kind of like conflict like other stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'll read like black nationalist media and stuff like that. Like I'll even watch like Nation of Islam or something. I get media from all this type of stuff. I'll watch imperialist media too. I do. Like I read everything. Everything. Right. Like there's a fucking book. There's really a propaganda book. It's called The Cleanest Race. It was about the DPRK. It's literally a bullshit book. I read that shit just so I can be like, man, this book is bullshit. Like, it was like the book tried to say that like that the DPRK ideology, Juche, like resembled more of like a Japanese fascism from like World War II than communism. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like it's like academic like phrase mongering, because then like other academics responded to it by being like, no, this saying that it's like Japanese fascism doesn't conflate the victims of communism and like the Stalinist approach of the DPRK. You know what I mean? But both of them are wrong. Like the DPRK it follows the Juche ideology, it follows its own system, etc. You know what I mean? Like, and this book was literally like an academic book. Like a bunch of people, like it was like renowned as like being like a super like everybody's like, oh, this is peak academia. Yeah.
So he was sort of trying to blur the lines between socialism and fascism in that book. That was an argument he was trying to make.
That was the argument. Yeah, it was like horseshoe theory type of. And the thing is, no, he wasn't trying to. That's why other academics responded saying, no, it actually is Stalinism. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because he was like, oh, it's like more like he like tied it in with like some like sort of like ancient Korean ideologies, etc. About like one of them is called like I don't remember what it's called. I'm gonna try to pronounce it because it's Korean, but it stands for like like the almost kind of like a monarchy type of shit. Like a father of the system, a mother of the system, etc. And they try to say that like from like from like Kim Il Sung, Kim Jong Il, Kim Jong Un, etc. They say like, oh, this is where it's from, etc. But like I don't know, it's just. It's a bunch of like loose dots they try to connect, you know what I mean? Right. And a lot of like academia against the DPRK is they usually do that, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't know a lot of the facts, so it's like easy to like connect like vague facts to make like a big ass picture, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the CNN literally reported one time that the DPRK like fed like a person to piranhas, like bro, that's like League of Doom, like you know what I mean? Like fucking Looney Tunes level shit.
I mean, they do kill their own people though.
The United States kills their own people a lot too.
That's true.
And we have the biggest incarceration rate.
Does that justify their killings?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Like it absolutely doesn't.
So it's not much of a rebuttal then, right?
No, I don't think it's not even a whataboutism. It's just like I just feel like it's just
no.
The West, a bit of a red herring,
it's not red herring, like bro, like that's what like Americans and Western people say, like red herring.
Because we didn't come over here and say, oh, we fucking love Biden and the U.S. foreign policy is this shit.
No, of course, of course
but
not.
There's been this entire straw man of Western imperialism in this entire conversation, as opposed to the actual.
But look, the thing is that like I fundamentally believe that like the thing is that like there is a polarization though. Like you might think that you are like, oh no, I'm actually on this side, but it's like you're not. Like Mao Zedong says, like you must oppose what they support and support what they oppose. And this dichotomy is a true dichotomy though. Like it really is, because like why would the capitalists support something that is not in their interest, such as what you're saying? Like this market economy, wouldn't that take power out of the capitalists, etc. Like the social the social safety net, etc. Trying to add more restrictions to capitalism. Like people say, like example, like a Nordic system. You know what I mean?
I don't
like
want
something
that.
that's more.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Like a general, like like a lot of like liberals think that we should have a system like that, right? Yeah. And I built like they say that this is somehow like rebelling against like the capitalist institution, etc.
No, I think it's the opposite actually. I think it would sort of like concentrate power into fewer hands, pretty much the same way that the Soviet Union, all these countries were. It was basically concentrated power into a few hands.
Bureaucratic.
No, not just bureaucratic. I mean, that was just part of it. I mean, the entire issue is that it was a command economy. right? That was the entire issue. There were no price signals. It wasn't supply and demand that was deciding things, and you can't really get past that by sort of saying that, you know, you would want a socialist society to exist. I mean, people have sort of things that they want, and there's a limited amount of resources, and, you know, you could get to whatever point, but unless you can satisfy everything in the imagination of people, there's always going to be a limited amount of things, and there's always going to be a certain amount of people. And there's going to be somewhere where supply meets demand. And it's going to happen in the black market, or it's going to happen under the constraints of a command economy, but it's not something that you can really overcome by just saying that we're going to, you know, just get together the people and just create this situation. I mean, there's just no reason to believe that.
I think it's happened a bunch of times though. Like transitioning out of capitalism has happened a bunch of times. You know what I mean? Like all socialist countries that is what they were doing. You know what I mean?
What were they doing?
They were trying to do something different. You
they
know,
were
like
capitalists?
No, they weren't. Like what I'm saying, you know, communism is the movement that actively abolishes the current state of things. You know, like that's like almost like the philosophical approach to it. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's like because you're saying like, oh, in the beginning, I think your question was like, how do you know if, you know, you just get with the people, etc. What are you gonna what policies are you gonna
just why presume that a market economy is inferior to whatever it is that you want to propose?
I mean through as a working class individual, I would say the market economy certainly doesn't help me. Like,
yeah, but as opposed to what though?
As opposed to a socialist economy,
why would that be more successful?
Because it puts the work. It puts like I'm gonna support the system that puts working class people in power. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's why I support. You know,
but the best intentions. I mean, that doesn't matter your intentions. I mean, what matters is what really happens.
Yeah, of course. But a lot of the things, like you're acting like trust, like, you know, like families literally in Russia right now like hold pride for their socialist background. Like they literally do. Like they hold pride for like defeating Nazi Germany. They hold pride for upholding. A lot of them even, like, you can ask them, like there's a lot of people that they literally they go there and they try to debunk like the whole narrative because they'll interview Russians and be like
about nostalgia for the Soviet Union.
Like bro, but Soviet nostalgia, that's what the liberals want you to think, because the liberals don't believe in patriotism.
Right.
They don't believe in nationalism.
Right.
But I mean, wouldn't you say that?
What were we talking about?
I don't know.
We were talking about markets, right?
Yeah, you were just pretty much asking
about like the reason for believing that
socialism
any socialist organization is going to be superior to a market economy. Pretty much, yeah. Like, why do you believe that? Like, on what basis?
I mean, on the basis that, like, we've been trying a market economy for, like, several years, you know what I'm saying?
And the standard of living of the entire world has gone up continuously.
No, I mean, I beg to differ. Like,
I mean, continuously. Like, that is just undeniable.
Like, I literally beg to differ.
Even though there's facts.
I just can't even...
Proving it.
This is
like, you can, though. Like
you can't prove that?
Well, you can't, like... Well, there's tragedy in capitalism in the United States every day.
There's always going to be.
There's always going to be.
There's going to be tragedy in communism.
But it's not. But you see, you're trying to say, like, there's inherent tragedy as if there's no relation to capitalism. But then you're going to say that the relation of, like, tragedy in socialist countries is completely related to socialism.
No,
you know
I'm just asking you on what basis like, you presume that one system is going to be superior to... Because I still don't even know what system you're sort of promoting.
Socialism will always be superior. Like, and it'll always be...
But why?
It'll always be superior. It'll always be... Because it always does. It always will. Like,
but
compare
that's not an answer.
Because look, man, I'm a Stalinist. That's why. And that's my answer.
Because it's faith.
No, it's not
it's
faith.
Religious faith.
It's not faith. It's not faith because it works.
It's a
and
belief.
The thing is, it's the system that destroys fascism, and it works. That's why it works. There's no other way around it.
Jesus loves you or something like.
Dude, because Christians and Catholics don't fight for nothing.
I just gotta accept your word.
You're giving me the same amount of evidence that I have for the existence of God, which is none.
The thing is that. Yeah, like what does...
When did it work? When did it work?
A bunch of... Bro, when it overthrew
capitalism. I mean, that depends on how you define work, right? I mean, work can be a million things, right?
Yeah, in a bunch of...
But what's your criteria?
The transition of socialism made, like, the population literate, had lowered infant mortality. Like, example, during the Cultural Revolution...
Capitalism did that shit, too.
Yeah, what's the difference?
I mean, I just don't understand. Like, what is...
But
people just lived better in capitalism.
I mean, I would say... you know, it all depends. Like, example, you know... During China, right? during the revolution, you know, it wasn't really capitalist. So it was like a semi-feudal system, you know what I mean? And through Mao's analysis, they thought that we would have new democracy, establish a capital, like kind of like almost like a market, etc., and then you know, then transition into socialism. Like, I think what they're saying, like, oh yeah, was it really capitalism that brought that? No, you see, that's the nuance. Wait, that's the nuance. Like, no, like working class rights and healthcare and stuff like that was brought from people luchando for their rights, and they finally got it. Not because capitalism gave it to them, and it was because people decided to go out there and go get it. And when they went out there to go get it, what happened? A lot of times, like COINTELPRO, they go and assassinate it. Like BLM is infiltrated by police, by FBI, etc. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Like, dude, what do you mean?
I think they were forced to do it.
But look, but dude, okay, black people have rights because of capitalism. No, black people have rights because of black people, because of them, because they they stand up for their rights. Like,
all humans in this country have rights. We all have rights.
Yes, I know, but dude, you're saying, right?
Okay.
Dude, like, bro, I
just didn't get your point on the rights part. We all have rights.
What's
the difference between a black guy and a white guy?
No, okay. First of all, no, my point, what I was saying before this was correct. Hold up. What did you say before this? My bad. I got tied up though.
I think you were discussing something about China and then Mao.
Oh yeah.
Okay, no. What was after that?
COINTELPRO.
Oh yeah, example. Yeah, look, the world, because the world history is created by the masses, right? The imperialists tell you that it's created by capitalism, by the NGO class, by the middle class, etc. Wait, let me finish the point. But you're saying yes, they don't have rights. Like, black people at a point didn't have rights.
Of course, bro.
Yes, but dude, you're saying that because you said capitalism. I'm like, it gave women contraception in China. It gave people rights in China. Like, infant mortality rate, like, was
I don't know
lowered.
if I said it gave them rights. No, I just said they lived better.
No, but look, I know. But did they? Like, black people did not live better through capitalism for a bunch of history. What do you mean? Like, I literally am telling you, bro. I'm gonna tell you when, like, bro, in Hurricane Katrina, when black people are left in the top of their houses, and then when fucking shit happens, they call them looters. Like, when a man puts their fucking neck on a pussy and kills a person, and then when people riot, they call them looters. Like, what do you mean?
That was just one tragic moment.
But dude, that happens all the time. Okay, do you know? Okay, do you know? What do you mean? But it's so relevant. Sort of like, look, we're literally in Alapata. We're literally
like, the problem is just capitalism. Here's a problem in the U.S. It's capitalism.
Okay, wait, look, I'm gonna tell you why, but it's so relevant. Like, example, Miami Beach was literally first originally owned by a black person. Like, Liberty City, like, literally had all black, like, courthouses, and actually, like, during, like, what the post-segregative policies were literally, like, meant to, like, they weren't meant to liberate black people. Right. They were meant to, like, actually dismantle, like, the power that they actually were forming, like, through, like, the end of, like, the segregative period, because they started to work with what they have, such as having all black courtrooms, all black courthouses. Like, actually, Little Haiti literally had like all black police officers. And then, then we have, but what actually comes out, we have, like, post-segregative architecture, the construction of I-95, which was used to displace literally like 20,000 people. Like, I think it was like 10,000 people. Maybe my number's a little big.
Would you describe that as capitalism?
I mean, it's the policies of people who are able to use capitalism to do that. You know what I mean? They are weaponizing their power, their capitalist position to do that. And my point is that yes, like, those black people were getting their rights taken away when they're getting kicked out of their house to build a highway. Like, and you guys, like, and this is all, there's a bunch of history to that. You know what I mean? Like, Mark Fisher, the guy who owns Miami Beach, bro, he bought that shit off a black dude. You know what I mean? Like, that guy owned the beach. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, like, I think that's all relevant. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean that
I think slavery is horrible.
Yes, but I know that's not what I'm saying. Yeah. What I'm saying is that you're saying, right, that it's just like, then if you're saying that it's not capitalism that gave them their rights, and what gave them their right, they did. Like, the masses gave themselves their rights because they went out, like, black people rioting and doing that shit, and going out and, like, like MLK, like a civil rights movement.
Yeah, people should protest.
I know, but then you say
people should protest.
Dude, but then you say that capitalism, right, that the rights that we have in capitalism are because of capitalism. No, they're not. They're because of socialism.
Who said that?
I never said that.
Okay. All right, but look, I'm just saying that the rights that we have under capitalism are not because of capitalism.
I said people live better in capitalism.
And it's not because of capitalism. It's not because of capitalism. It's because, like, we have, like, stood up to actually get those rights.
Is that what it is?
Yes, of course we have.
It's the government interference that made it work.
Bro, the only reason there's government interference, bro, and, like, like, we have gotten, obviously, the right to vote, which was obviously, and not only that, though, but, like, you're saying, right, that when people don't go hit the streets, that there's not like qualitative changes in political measures.
I'm saying supply and demand is supply and demand, no matter how you chop it up, and no matter what the people say.
And I'm saying that like socialism is always gonna happen.
Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying.
Like
it's gonna happen. And the funny thing is that like how it happened and it has taken over entire countries and dominated against imperialism. It's gonna continue to do so. And like that's why like
and then
sitting
people
down,
starve and then people just live horrible and
but
miserably.
people sitting down. No, but people also become literate. People also have control of their economy. People also educate their
That's
people.
more important than starving and not
No, they
knowing what to
don't,
eat.
dude. Bro, all those numbers, all those numbers are conflated. Like, bro, the Cuban Revolution was literally almost like one of the most bloodless revolutions. It was literally like you can't even compare that to like the French Revolution, bro. Like more people died there than in the Cuban Revolution. Like, bro, the Cuban Revolution, the fact that you can have a Gusano, the fact that Fulgencio Batista left, he left the country, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, bro, you gonna tell me that shit?
The U.S. was really committed to keeping him in power, I guess.
I mean, bro, like the U.S. literally gave money to Fidel before they even found out who he was. The U.S. doesn't know. The U.S. like they also funded the Mujahideen, and look what happened.
Sure.
Like like they play fuck like one fucked up policy doesn't direct like all their influence. Their influence is still to dominate. Was always still to dominate Cuba. Like come on, they had mafiosos there. Like bro, half of people in here, man.
Wait. The fact that they have mafiosos. I mean, is that really in the interest of the United States?
Yeah.
To have
I would say
have the mafia.
Well, I know obviously not, but the commercialization led to the mafia being there. Like the commercialization of Cuba, the commercialization of Cuba led to the mafia being there. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
Like you feel me? Like, and that's like an objective like fact.
Yeah, go for it.
You know, like during student revolts in Cuba during the Fulgencio Batista regime, you know, like there was literally, you know what it was called? It was called demonstrations against gangsterism. That's what they were called because like the army of like they were like gangsters. That's like Fulgencio Batista literally like they were like gangsters of the regime. You know what I'm saying?
That reminds me of Fidel. Shit, if it was gangster as fuck.
You know, I think
did not take no shit,
bro. I think
so. He
would say we are the people, pointing his fucking thumb over here, like the people, the person.
I think that.
I think it's pretty incredible to claim that the democratic system in Cuba is a democratic system at all.
You liked how Fidel ran it?
That there's any openness relative
I completely, I've said it before. Like there's of course there's been faulty policies, etc. But yeah, I mean I think that.
But it's better than having markets and better than
to refer to that as liberation. I mean I think.
Look, man, I think that like a lot I literally have conversations with people who literally like live their lives in Cuba, do what they do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they don't hold hatred for their country, you know what I'm saying?
Their country, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing is like they'll be like, yeah, there's we have economic problems and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? But like what are you telling me then, okay? Are you telling me that if it would be better if because you're gonna no, it was better if where's the opposition in Cuba? Because that's the thing, like the opposition in Cuba is fundamentally controlled by the U.S. though. Like there is no organic opposition in Cuba that is actually like offering something that is actually has like the masses tailing behind them. And I don't mean that to be like historically nihilistic. I don't mean that to be nihilistic.
You believe that, for example, Oswaldo Paya was a CIA asset?
No, but there are a lot of CIA.
The Varela project was a CIA project?
No, but there's
my father worked with him.
Yeah, but look, example, dude, I like using that. Like, there's a lot of people.
I mean, that's what you're doing. You're arguing from experience. Like, I talked to this guy and that guy. I haven't done that at all.
No, yeah, I think
I don't think it's valuable. Like, I can
say
this guy says this.
No, I just think that
the people I've met, that's worthless.
No, I just think that still though, I think that there is a lot more to be said for the people who are on the revolutionary side of Cuba's transformation rather than like
you think
la
there's
gusaneria that is very common here in Miami. You know what I mean? Because that's just the dominant. Like you can hear that anywhere. What about people like Max Lesnick? What is that position? What is that position on Cuba? Like what was the Antonio Maceo Brigade? Like why did this happen? Why did people during the civil rights movement? Why they started saying Vietnam? They said no intervention in Vietnam and they were Cuban Americans. And then the same people were saying no intervention in Vietnam were like, we support Fidel, we support Cuba. The Antonio Maceo Brigade was created for that, to build the bridge, you know, between Cuban Americans, Fidel communism, and the history of, like, you know, their patriotic country. And I think there's a lot. I think that, look, man, I'm just
before we finish, you think there's more people happy about how Cuba's run, and people in Cuba? You think there's a bigger percent that they're happy with how Cuba's run, or is less?
I think that Cuba is actively being a different society, and I think that every policy that they make is progressive, just like their family plan. And I do think that the Cuban people are happy. And
genuinely.
Yes, and I do think that also what makes the Cuban people happy is if the embargo wouldn't be there, so we can be able to send things to our family, go there, viajes, go there, and be able to actually support our families. You know,
I mean, I send shit to my family.
Yeah,
my family sends.
And it should continue to be like that. You know what I mean? But first of all, we should be able to send a lot more. There obviously is restrictions, like, you know, that I work with that. Like, you know, I know what it is. Like, we had to the hassle we go through to fucking send fucking baby formula to Cuba. Like, when they got back, we got searched and everything. They didn't, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, what are you doing in Cuba? Fucking baby formula, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. But, you know, and I think, like, you know, like, that's the thing. Like, we can rig them a row around, like, oh, but this or that. But it's like, I do think that the Cuban people want diplomatic relations with the U.S., right? I don't think that they want intervention. And if there will be an uprising, there'll be an uprising, you know what I mean? So, till then, it's like, abajo bloqueo, you know, down with the blockade. And I think that, like, the Cuban people should determine their own fate, you know? If there is a Cuban opposition that rises, I think I would support it, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I am a Cuban, and I have, like, you know, of course I support, you know, the Cuban people and their self-determination. You know, do
they have self-determination? And I don't mean in terms of the U.S. foreign policy towards Cuba. I mean in terms of, like, the government's actions towards the people. Do they have agency to decide the sort of governmental structure that they have, or is that imposed upon them by the political class of Cuba?
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is that I think that, you know, the way of life in Cuba is not completely imposed by the government. There are liberties in Cuba, there are freedoms in Cuba, there are people who have housing in Cuba, there are people who have good housing in Cuba as well. Like,
I mean, the lights are always
yeah,
out.
of course.
It's
No,
horrible,
there's, you know, there's bad. Like, of course, like, lights are going out. You know what I mean?
Always.
Food, there's lines like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? There's issues. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But, like, I still, you know, I do. Of course, I'm going to say
during COVID, it was pretty bad, bro.
No, of course. I mean, dude, I knew people who were there. Like, I had a homie who, like, had gone right when, like, COVID started. You know what I mean? It was a whole mission. You know what I mean? And but, you know, I don't know. I don't think it doesn't. You know, I've been here and I've heard this, you know, 1,000 times. I don't know. I think there's nothing that can.
Not much to it.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Like, and I do, and it's
even
not because
so
I don't deny
it.
I don't deny it. You know, and the thing is that, look, Diaz-Canel also said, what did he say when the riots were happening? He said, now the revolutionary hit the streets, and you can see that there were pro-government opposition there was pro-government protests, and they were very large as well,
and it was fully voluntary too. There was no coercion involved.
I mean, there was I mean, dude, like, obviously there's no coercion. Like, of course officials are gonna, like, rally people. No, officials are gonna rally people, like, to go to do this, like, but, like, a bunch of people.
I'm just
did
saying,
support.
if you're gonna mention it, like, at least demonstrate why you think it's organically.
No, for real, like, they are, like, example, for real, like. The reason why my grandma really is still in Cuba is because she really is, like, now, like, Fidel's, she's like, no, he was, he's
great
good
for her, shit.
Yeah, and I think that, like, there is, like, where is that position being you know, that position should be defended, you know what I mean? And I do think it's relevant. You know what I mean?
Even though more people probably be like, Fidel's horrible.
It's not. It's
no
not.
merit to it.
No, it's not, because, example, like I said, and then connected with, like, Cuba's geopolitical history, the doctors that they send everywhere, the help that they've given everywhere, like, and places where the US doesn't give it.
How do they treat their own people, though?
Dude, it doesn't matter.
It's great for
it doesn't matter how they treat their own
people.
No,
it does matter how they treat their own people. And, like, yes, there's like a bunch of there's just a lot of contradictions to the scenario, you know? And, like, I just think that, like, without the blockade, all these things would be better. And, like, look,
yeah, for real.
No,
why do you think that?
Because the economic blockade is economic warfare against Cuba. It is.
That's the biggest threat.
Yeah, and no, the thing is
It's
that
not the lack of markets.
even with the aid that Cuba gets, and dude, there are markets opening up in
The
Cuba.
markets in Cuba are shit, highly restricted. Cuba has an internal embargo on its fucking
That's-
self
bro,
and its citizens.
dude,
There's no motivation to make shit.
No, dude.
You don't own shit.
Yeah, you want to look, bro.
What you own is
Look,
bullshit.
example-
You gotta give half that shit to the government. You're fucked from
No,
the
look,
outset.
dude,
There's
look.
no motivation
No,
to
look,
create
bro,
industry.
There's no incentive in Cuba, bro.
No, dude, there used to be like example in the 80s and in the 70s there used to be way more incentive. Like example, a lot of the people.
but that was the back.
No,
And
look,
even
look, a lot of people like example, and look, dude, bro, dude, there's so much man nacido.
we're kind of like we
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
gotta finish. So we kind of gotta wrap
Let-
it up.
let
Yeah,
him
yeah.
But go ahead,
his
finish
last
up.
thought, yeah.
Just
I
let
was
you
gonna
know.
say that like
Yeah.
there's a lot of man nacido right now happening in Cuba, bro, and the thing is the reason that's happening is because, bro, like look at the rap culture that's even being put into the people like right now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like those like they're
You mean rappers from Cuba?
yeah. Like
Yeah.
they're literally like and they have like this like. They make money. You wanna know what those rappers make money off? Those people make money off like the hatred against Cuba. You know what I mean?
You mean the anti-communist type of shit?
Yeah, and the anti-communist type of shit. And there's a lot of it. You know what I mean? And like a lot of it a bunch of it has even been exposed for like being bullshit. Like a lot of the shit they say. You know what I mean? And no, there is
Even though
problems.
they were citizens living in Cuba, first-hand experience. It's no regard to it, right?
No,
Like-
I mean first-hand experience. But we, like I said, we have first-hand experience from a lot of different people.
But it's a
in the
lot of
population.
people that mention
there's
the
also-
same thing.
No, there's also a lot of people, and then when you have like the entire continent of Africa upholding Cuba's revolutionary position, it's
Yeah.
like what do you say
that
to
doesn't
that?
tell me much.
Yeah,
No,
they don't
I
know
mean,
anything about
it's
Cuba.
not
They don't
like
live
They
there.
do.
They don't live
Beacon of
there.
freedom.
Algeria, Angola, Congo, these are all places that historically have had engages with Cuban people,
Definitely
like
not
Cuban
beacons of
soldiers,
freedom.
etc.
Let's be real.
No, I mean,
What are their
no,
rights?
not any, no, not
What
anymore.
are their rights
but-
looking like?
No, not anymore. But Cuba did help during during the time that Cuba was assisting them. Of course they did. Like yeah, they did. Like Angola was definitely better during that, and then after the fall of the Soviet Union, you know what I mean? They stopped getting aid.
Right.
Like, and that
Listen,
is
bro.
true.
Overall, bro, I just think we have rights here, and that's gonna always outweigh any country's values, no matter what.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have the freedom to do whatever we want for the most part. We can't do no illegal shit. Freedom of speech. We can. I mean, I could go on. The Constitution speaks for itself, bro.
Yeah, I just, dude, I feel like, bro, like,
It's all
dude,
bullshit,
people
but it's
can
all-
make
no matter what.
No, like it's just like so a person in China can say the same shit. A person in any country can say
I mean, you
that.
don't enjoy living
And,
in this
like,
country?
I mean, of course, I love like my country.
Oh,
I
you
love my
do?
people. Of course, I do.
Oh,
you know,
that's
like
crazy.
like there's just like we're in economic tense times there is gonna be a revolutionary process.
I mean, you enjoy your rights. You enjoy.
Yeah, of course.
Being
That's
able
why
to promote
like
the
reason,
socialism, communist views you have.
the reason I I am practicing my rights right now for preaching for socialism. Like that is me practicing my rights. Like the reason I'm a socialist is because I want to defend my rights. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
You have
there's
the right to
nothing
do that,
it.
though.
But the thing is that like, no, they're
But in other
So
other communist countries, we can't do that though.
no.
my man.
It's just, bro.
we can't be out there speaking against.
There's opposition in many communist countries, dude. It's just like.
And then they
But
die.
it's illegal to be
It's
in
not-
that
And also the thing
opposition.
is that like you talk about opposition here, but there really is no opposition here, dude. Like what
So
is the
what?
opposition to the capitalist market economy? There's no.
Didn't you
There's
just
no.
mention all the parties that you
Well, I'm
subscribe
talking about
to?
in the U-
All of
I'm
these
talking-
people. Yeah, you're in the U.S.
Yeah, but example, dude, bro. Like
I mean,
those
what do you
parts.
mean?
We can talk about.
If they're not that popular, it might be for a reason.
No, the reason there are I mean, CPUSA was very popular.
I'm sure they
the
were,
thing is,
yeah.
there was during the global communist movement,
Yeah.
there was splits and what happened, and now like that
Yeah.
we're kind of like in the aftermath of what happened, like in the '80s, etc. Through different movements. Like RSVP, etc. There's a lot to it, and that's
Okay.
why there were more stronger like militant communist organizations here, especially like in the 80s, especially in the 20s with the IWW. There's a lot of stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
Now we definitely see like weaker unions, weaker communist parties. Like what I would say is that yeah, there is no mainstream opposition to like, you know, the capitalist market economy. Like, you know, it's either the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, like, you know, there is no, like people say, oh, in the one party state, like of course there is no opposition outside of that system. Just like in communism, no, there is no opposition outside of outside of the construction of socialism.
Yeah.
Just like in capitalist countries, there is no opposition outside of the construction of capitalism.
Yeah.
That's why they threat on the rights of socialists here, etc. You know what I mean? So
What
that's what I'm
rights?
saying.
I don't. What rights?
What
yeah.
rights?
No,
Like-
like I mean, if like example, if in Cuba, because you're saying if they wanted to protest and they said that they
Yeah.
wanted insurrection against the government,
Yeah.
right? Which like if
Well,
I
that's
actually
always illegal against every nation. I mean, no
Exactly.
matter what nation, an insurrection is going to be illegal.
exactly that's what I'm saying. So
Right.
Well,
So
well-
an opposition party, though, I mean, you could subscribe to the idea that you want a revolution and a complete change.
it all
and-
depends. Not really. Like
And you
example,
can have your communist
no, it's
party.
Not.
You don't
no,
have
it's
you don't
not.
have the
dude, bro. It's just dude.
You don't
like,
have
okay,
the
bro,
neoliberal
dude.
party in Cuba.
Look, okay,
That's
I
just
just
not
wanna
going to
say,
happen.
look,
It's
last
not
thing, because it is
acceptable.
wrapping up. Because it is wrapping up.
illegal, you see, it's a
no,
problem.
No, but look, dude, bro, look, the black.
Whereas here, you
okay.
can do that shit.
Okay, listen.
You could be who
okay,
you are in this
no.
country, bro.
Listen,
in the
bro.
country you despise.
Okay, look, can I just say a point? Look,
Yeah,
the Black
go ahead.
African Socialist Party, which is in Tallahassee, it's right, dude. They're
Okay.
literally they arrested a bunch of the people, literally like the beginning of this fucking year. They arrested and they were
For
like,
what? What was the charge?
they say that like that some of them are like Russian puppets because they supported Russia during like the
Russian puppets.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
charged?
What was the
Russian
charge,
puppet is
though?
a
No,
charge?
you can see that. Let's see the chart. Like,
Yeah, what's the name of the charge? Inciting
look.
a riot, maybe, or something like
well,
that?
no, it's not like it's they. I'm sure that it was more like from the inside type
Right.
shit. Yeah. No, it's for it.
Okay.
No,
I hear
we can
you,
look
bro.
for we can
Okay.
look for it. But yeah. No, it's like we literally did stuff for them. Like I organized for a group, Uhuru, which like we basically rallied, basically to free them. You know what I mean?
You don't ever want to be a successful person, like
Yeah, obviously, I think every.
He wants success
rap,
for
right?
the people.
No, I think
Wait.
like it's just.
You don't want to be rich. You have like aspirations of like making a lot of money.
I don't find happiness in money. I don't.
I'm not saying-
I don't think you'd
I'm
get
not saying.
worship,
I'm just asking a general question. Like you don't.
I'm with you on that. I don't think money's gonna get you happiness.
No,
or
I mean,
anything.
like I
If
want,
it comes,
I want,
it comes,
yeah,
that's
like
kinda
I
your
want,
right.
I mean,
Basic
I want
necessities.
housing. Yeah, I
You
need
want
a
basic
housing.
necessities.
Yeah, I need like
I'm
housing.
just asking. Okay.
Yeah, I need yeah.
Just
and-
decent, average, normal.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
No,
just,
I don't know. Like, if the thing is that like you're trying to paint this picture as if like like the Nietzschean philosophy tries to say some shit like slave morality and master morality, and then he says that the socialist philosophy is slave morality because they want simple things, but that's not true. Like the Soviet.
Wait, what am I trying to paint?
No, because
I'm trying to paint I'm trying to paint Nietzsche's slave morality.
No, I'm just saying because look, like
We're not talking about Christianity.
Okay, no, because there's no simplicity. What you like? No, there's a lot. There's
I'm just
there's a
asking
lot
a
to having
general
housing.
question.
But there's a lot to having housing. There's a lot of innovation in socialist countries, etc. The same things happen. Like there are inventors, engineers, creators in socialist countries as well.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I'm
is
saying.
there a lot of that in Cuba though?
No, there isn't, but there is. Like example, the fact that Cuba was able to like develop their own vaccine even with the sanctions is because they have like they do have doctors, they do have like skills, like,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
But not much people get that like healthcare though. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
very-
yeah, but,
it's very, and even then, like I've never heard of that. I've never, out of my family's experience, they've told me the healthcare is
No, I
dog
mean,
shit.
no, like healthcare has definitely been like worse now, you
Like
know?
horrible,
Yeah,
like
no, like
horrible.
health. It's just, dude. There's a lot to it, you know, and there's a lot to it.
There's nothing. That's nothing on how Cuba runs the country though, right?
Bro. I
Simply
said
the blockade, and then
no. I think, look, and I do think also that like there will like Cuba is gonna have. Like a bigger, like there are gonna be more markets opening up in Cuba, and
Let's hope,
and
dog.
they
Let's
are
hope.
gonna be and they're gonna be assimilated for a socialist transition because the thing is that like the United States is not gonna win the geopolitical conflict right now, especially with Russia
Really?
and China and their influences in Cuba.
you think
And-
the dollar?
and-
You say that you think the dollar's gonna crash eventually?
Of course it is. Like, are you seeing what's going on in Africa right now? Like, like look at Mali, look at Niger, look at Burkina Faso. You know, and by the like word on the street is that like there's a couple other countries that are gonna be overthrown, and I guarantee you that like
One of them is the U.S.
no, it's gonna be more countries in Africa being overthrown.
Oh, okay.
And they're all like example. A lot of these troops. Where do you think they got training? Where do you think they're getting help from? Like Russia, China, etc. You know, and like like I do think like bro, like dude, you know, the EFF had a rally literally like a couple of weeks ago with millions of people where they were saying "kill the Boer," which literally translates to kill like the white farmer.
We heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you know,
What are
and
your thoughts
like
on that?
I support the EF.
You support what they were saying though?
Yeah, bro. Like
Kill
dude,
white people?
No, I like, bro, dude. Look, man, like,
So you support?
dude, but you know, like, you know,
That's like some Hitler vibes.
no,
though,
bro,
no?
dude. There's literally organizations, literally in South Africa that like
Okay.
for Boers, dude, for like white people like that that are you. They're like fucking.
Yeah, but they
hate
blatantly said
organizations.
like kill white people.
dude, bro.
What happened if someone was just saying kill Hispanic people?
No, I just, in my opinion, bro, like, it's like, bro, you feel me? It's like, I can thump my chest right now and be like, you know, like.
It's a wild take, bro.
No, yeah, it's a wild take, but I can thump my chest right now and be like, you know, like, we're gonna go and kill Ukrainian Nazis, etc. Like, but like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I
don't see how that even correlates.
Dude, look, I think
like kill white people. Like, how more blunt is that? Like,
dude, it's just that. I don't. It's not even that. Like, the thing is that it's not even that vague because there's historical context. There's historical context to like that term that's literally been used by like revolutionary organizations in Africa. You know what I mean?
So
like,
it doesn't really mean kill white people.
No, yeah, it does. It does, but it's like,
but it's based,
like, bro, it's based, and it comes from a time, when like when white people probably literally should have been killed. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's like when African people get together and sing that song, they're not really saying we're gonna kill individual white people.
Nah.
They're saying like they're trying to get the Yankees off their neck, off their country. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like you guys.
So they
like,
do
when you
mean
start
it.
when you start looking like, oh my god, they're gonna kill a bunch of white people and shit like that. Like, that's not what's gonna happen.
I'm just trying to figure out
like,
where
they
you
could have done that
stand.
shit a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm just asking how you feel.
Yeah,
about
because
it.
I thought it was lit, bro. I have the video downloaded on my phone.
Fair enough. Okay.
Well, I guess we'll end it on that, dog.
All
That's-
right.
It's been an honor, really.
Awesome,
dog.
awesome.
It was an interesting conversation.
No, for
Seriously,
sure.
bro.
No, cool,
You
cool
know,
as fuck.
I'm still happy. Shit, it was a way to, we
No,
killed some
bro, for
time.
sure,
We talked
no.
about a lot
Yeah,
of things.
No,
pleasure,
for
dog.
sure, man.
Whenever you want to come back, dude.
Hell yeah,
we'll talk some shit.
Hell yeah, for sure.
Man. All right.
Dog.
Lord Treezy.